Mike Stice,
Here.
Joseph DeMott,
Here.
Karen Berry, Joyce J,
Here.
Davis Reinhardt,
Here.
Wanda Sang,
Here.
Tracy Langworthy.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of April 11th, 2011?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes of April 11th, 2011, second by Councilmember DeMott and Sang. Changes to the minutes? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6 with Mrs. Adams and Mr. Reinhardt abstaining.
Thank you. We have 2 proclamations tonight. We have a proclamation for Arbor Day and a proclamation for the Municipal Clerks Week. I'll ask Mrs. Wheatridge, Karen Thaler, please step forward from District 1, and also Margaret Pageant with the City of Wheatridge, and please introduce our other guests when they come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and citizens of Wheatridge, good evening. And I know the crowd here tonight is for the Arbor Day proclamation, right? And Cabela's, too. Anyway, good evening. Whereas trees have always been regarded as an important asset to the citizens of the community of Wheatridge, providing one of the first business opportunities in the 1860s, and whereas trees continue to be respected as an important part of the quality of life to the citizens of the city of Wheatridge and visitors, enhancing property values and community spirit. And whereas our mature trees are suffering from the devastation of environmental stresses, including insect and disease, winter drought, and severe temperatures. And whereas citizens, businesses, green industry, elected officials, and staff continue to work together to maintain and provide for tree-covered streets, parks, and properties as part of a comprehensive community forestry program. And whereas the City of Wheatridge has been awarded Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Now therefore, I, Jerry DiTullio, Mayor of the City of Wheatridge, do hereby declare Friday, April 29th, 2011 as City of Wheatridge Arbor Day celebration, and encourage all citizens and businesses of Wheatridge to participate in this effort by planting a tree or shrub.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to be part of this 32-year celebration of trees here in the city of Wheatridge, and happy to be part of a community that honors trees for so long. I'd like to call up Lawton Grinter from the Colorado State Forest Service. He's going to tell us a little bit about Arbor Day. And welcome, Lawton.
I'd like to thank the Wheatridge City Council for time on the agenda to present Wheatridge with its 32nd Tree City USA Award. This is not an automatic renewal each year. An application has to be submitted at the end of the calendar year to us at the Colorado State Forest Service, and then we send it on to the National Arbor Day Foundation in Nebraska City, who administers the program. There are 4 standards each community must meet to become eligible for a Tree City USA Award each year. The first is that there has to be a tree board or professional tree manager hired by the community. The second is the city has to have a tree ordinance. The third is a community forestry program with an annual budget of at least $2 per capita. And the fourth is an Arbor Day observance and proclamation. 2010 was another tough budget year for many communities, so it's nice to see our Tree City USAs, like the City of Wheatridge, continuing to support the forestry personnel and programs here. I think our Tree City USAs realize that trees are the least expensive, yet most rewarding infrastructure investment a community can make in realizing all the environmental, economic, and social values community trees provide. With that, I am pleased to award the City of Wheatridge its 32nd Tree City USA Award. Congratulations and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Just one more thing. I know you got a full docket tonight. We've been awarded a $4,000 grant this year to help revegetate trees on the greenbelt that were lost in the storm in '09. So just another plus a grant from Xcel Energy and Colorado State Forest Service and Colorado's Tree Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you.
This next proclamation is for Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Now therefore I, Jerry DiTullio, Mayor of the City of Wheat Ridge, do recognize the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2011 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Michael Snow, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated this 25th day of April, 2011.
Thank you. Mr. Snow?
Well, she gave us enough to know. It would be interesting, though, to say about the profession of municipal clerk. It is known to be the oldest profession, although I can think of some that I swear would be older. Long ago, in early modern type of governments, they were known as remembrancers. They literally didn't write things down. They were obviously very skilled and had to remember everything, even year by year, and as they passed laws in these governments. I'm really happy for computers today because there's just far too much information here for me to remember. But anyway, I'm honored to be recognized here, and I do hope that you all recognize the worth of municipal clerks. A lot of folks don't understand what the clerk's office does and what the clerk's role is, but it is very important to our democratic processes, our petitioning and elections, and maintaining all the records of the city. Somebody has to do it, and if nobody did, it would be a mess. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael, you're not staying tonight for our meeting? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is citizens' right to speak. Citizens' right to speak is reserved for members of the public who wish to speak on any item not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes. Others may donate their time to the speaker at the podium for a total of 9 minutes. When you are speaking at the podium tonight, I will be actually keeping time up here due to the length of the meeting. I'm anticipating we're asking everybody to keep it right at 3 minutes for public comment. So please step forward if you have any item to speak on that's not on the agenda. And spell your last name for the record and give us your city and or your address.
My last name is Fedak, F-E-D-A-K, and I'm from Wheat Ridge, 10735 West 26th Avenue. And I'm a student senator at Wheat Ridge High School. I'm allowed to go, right? May I start?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. And this past summer, I had the fortune to go down to Guatemala on a human rights advocacy program. And I met with indigenous Mayans who were massacred by their government in the 1980s and have received little form of compensation of what they've endured. And after talking with these people, what they needed, would they like their churches rebuilt, would they need, water system, electricity, they all asked for education for their children. They don't get an education past the 5th grade. And seeing what I have gained from having a public education, and I know my classmates, I'm putting on a charity concert May 11th at Wheat Ridge High School on the turf field, where all donations are going to go towards a scholarship fund that is being provided to help students continue past the 5th grade. So I hope to see all of you guys there. We have 2 great bands playing, and there's going to be a short documentary that we filmed down there showing, and I hope to see everyone there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Byer. I live at 13206 West 33rd Place in Golden, actually. I wanted to talk about the proposed Cabela's issue.
Those will be under item 2A,
sorry.
B, and C, sorry. We'll have you up shortly. Okay. Do we have anybody else to speak on any item not on the agenda? Okay, moving on. Is there any changes to the agenda tonight? First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Councilmember Langworthy.
Thank you. Motion, consent agenda item 1A, a motion to approve payment to Buy Board Cooperative in the amount of $136,305 for a prefabricated permanent restroom structure to be located in Discovery Park. 1B, motion to approve payment of Murray Dahl Keeganmeister and Renaud LLP March 2011 invoices for legal services in the amount of $31,447.40. 1C, a motion to approve payment of Deepwater Point Company's March invoices for real estate consulting services rendered in connection with the Clear Creek Crossing development in the amount of $19,175.94. 1D, a motion to award RFB-11-20 for traffic signal equipment to various vendors at a total cost of $30,306. 1E, a motion to award RFB-11-19 Police Patrol Motorcycle to Foothills BMW of Lakewood, Colorado at a total cost of $30,767.65. And 1F, a motion to approve award of ITB-11-02 overlay project to Brannan Sand and Gravel, Denver, Colorado in the contract amount of $1,267,358.75 and to approve a contingency amount of $126,736. Is there a motion in order?
A motion's in order.
I move to approve 1A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councilmember Sang. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Please poll the council.
And the motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda tonight is public hearings and ordinances on second reading. Tonight we'll be opening up one public hearing for items 2A, B, and C, and item number 5. They're all going to be under one public hearing tonight, per my discussion with the city manager and the city attorney. So what we'll do tonight is we'll have everybody speak under public comment for all items that you want to speak on. That will be the same for staff and for the applicant. So tonight we have item 2A is Council Bill 08-2011. Item 2B is Council Bill 09-2011. Item 2C is Council Bill 10-2011. And item 5 is Council Bill 15-2011. I'm going to open the public hearing. Councilmember Stites.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a lot of reading to do, but this is neat stuff, so bear along with me. Council Bill 2A, Council Bill number 08-2011, an ordinance approving the annexation of land located in sections 19 and 20, Township 3 South, Range 69, west of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, case number ANX 1101, Table Mountain Animal Shelter. Under the Municipal Annexation Act, the annexation of property to a municipality as an enclave must be accomplished by ordinance at a public hearing. Adoption of the attached council bill on first reading set the public hearing to consider the annexation of property owned by Jefferson County for April 25, 2011. The property in question, currently located in unincorporated Jefferson County, was the former home of Table Mountain Animal Shelter. Address is 4150 Youngfield Road. The structure on the property was recently demolished as a new facility has been built at another location. The majority of the property is under contract to be sold by Jefferson County to Cabela's in Longs Peak Metropolitan District and included in a regional commercial development. The sales contract does not include a piece of right-of-way owned by CDOT, which is being annexed but not incorporated into the proposed development of the property. The total area of the annexation is 36 acres. Staff is recommending planned commercial development zoning for placed on the development property and Agriculture 1 zoning to be placed on the right-of-way subsequent to the annexation action on April 25, 2011. See, I told you this is great stuff. This just grabs you, doesn't it? 2B, Council Bill Number 09-2011, an ordinance approving planned commercial development zoning for property located at 4105 Youngfield Service Road and an approval of a PCD concept outline development plan on property located at 4000 Cabela Drive and 4005 Youngfield Service Road, case number WZ 1101 Clear Creek Crossing. Pursuant to case number ANX 1101, Council Bill Number 08-2011, 36 acres of property located at 4150 Youngfield Service Road has been annexed into the city of Wheat Ridge. According to the state statute, the property must be rezoned within 90 days. The majority of the annexed property is under contract to be sold by Jefferson County to Cabela's and Longs Peak Metropolitan District and included in a regional commercial development. The existing zoning on Cabela's Coors property located at 4000 Cabela Drive is planned commercial development. A land use application has been submitted for a planned commercial development concept outline development plan, which includes 32 acres of the annexation parcel. In order to meet the state statute to be incorporated into the development known as Clear Creek Crossing, the annexation parcel is proposed to be zoned planned commercial development. Approval of concept outline development plan is the first step in the city's plan development process. The concept ODP is intended to serve as a zoning document and addresses allowed uses, development standards, and the character of the development. The attached Council Bill 09-2011 was presented to the Council on first reading and the public hearing to be considered zoning on the Jefferson County parcel and approved of a concept outline development plan was set for April 25th, 2011. To C, Council Bill Number 10-2011, an ordinance approving a planned commercial development specific outline development plan on property located at 4000 Cabela Drive and 4105 Youngfield Service Road, more particularly identified as Block 1, Lots 1 and 3, Block 2, Lot 1, Block 3, Lot 1, Block 4, Lot 1, Block 5, Lots 3, 4, and 5 of Clear Creek Crossing Subdivision, case number WZ 1102, Clear Creek Crossing. A planned commercial development concept outline development plan has been approved for 210 acres pursuant to case number WZ 1101, Council Bill number 09-2011. A land use application has been submitted for a planned commercial development specific outline development plan for the combined parcels identified: Block 1, Lots 1 and 3, Block 2, Lot 1, Block 3, Lot 1, Block 4, Lot 1, Block 5, Lots 3, 4, and 5 of Clear Creek Crossing Subdivision. Approval of a specific outline development plan is in the second step in the city's plan development process. If approved, the applicant can proceed to administrative final development plan and subdivision. Adoption of the attached Council Bill on first reading set public hearing to consider specific outline development plan on April 25th, 2011. And last but not least, item number 5, Council Bill number 15-2011, an ordinance temporarily waiving the city's 2-cent sales tax within the boundaries of the Longs Peak Metropolitan District. Ordinance temporary waiving 2 cents of the city's retail sales tax within the boundaries of the Longs Peak Metropolitan District.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please assign ordinance numbers as needed?
Council Bill 08-2011 will be assigned ordinance number 1485. Council Bill 09-2011 will be ordinance number 1486. And Council Bill 10-2011 will be assigned ordinance number 1487.
Thank you. If you're here to speak tonight on this agenda, on these agenda items from the public or staff or applicant, please stand and raise your right hand at this time so we can swear everybody in. Do you swear to tell the truth in this matter? Did it say I do? Thank you. I need to read a brief statement before we go on to the staff presentation. What is being considered tonight is a 36-acre annexation a concept outline development plan for 210 acres, and a specific outline development plan for 56 acres. The public notification requirement for these types of rezoning applications have three parts. One, notification of adjacent property owners within 300 feet. Two, posting of the property. And three, publication in a local paper. These requirements have been met. What is not being considered tonight is any modification to the previously approved I-70/32nd Avenue interchange environmental assessment. The transportation improvements required from that assessment are still fully in effect and will be met in conjunction with this development proposal. Mr. Johnstone?
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Ken Johnstone, Director of Community Development. And I would like to enter into the record the contents of this digital presentation as well as the case file for the three cases. I'll be speaking to the three public hearings, the three land use applications, item 2A, which is the annexation of the 36 acres owned by Jefferson County and CDOT, item 2B, which is the concept outline development plan, and item 2C, which is the specific outline development plan for Cabela's, Walmart, and some additional retail. I would reiterate for the record that the public notification requirements for all three of those cases have been met, giving the City Council jurisdiction to hear the case.
Thank you.
This is an aerial photograph of the property just to get you a little bit oriented. I'll try and use the cursor here just to give the outline. State Highway 58 running along the north, east-west. North is to the top of the slide, and then I-70 running in this general location. The subject site, including the annexation and the two ODP applications, is outlined in red. You can see it is adjacent to the I-70 frontage road, I-70 on the east, and State Highway 58 on the north. Clear Creek with the trail and the greenbelt does run through the northern third of the site and is obviously a huge asset to the community and to the project as well. This is another aerial with just a little bit of ownership information. Again, the perimeter of the concept ODP is outlined in red. The two lighter blue properties are owned by Coors. The pink property located here is generally owned by Jefferson County, though that will be transferred ownership as part of this development project to both Cabela's and the Metropolitan District. And then the area in tan is the area that's currently zoned by Cabela's. This gives you a little bit of a sense of what has previously been approved for the project. As Council, I think, is well aware, this was through an entitlement project back in 2005, and it's been reworked and is slightly modified, which is why we're before you this evening. But just wanted to make note that the red hatched areas had previously been approved as an outline development plan, and then the two specific final development plans that were approved, one for Cabela's and one for the Coors Pond, are highlighted in color there. One more just graphic aerial to get you oriented. This is a graphic that depicts the two annexation parcels. They are being annexed under the enclave statutes, but a portion of that property, the 2.7 acres at the north, is owned by CDOT. We're proposing that that would be zoned A1. Almost all the state highway right-of-way, notably I-70 through the community, is zoned A1, so that's consistent with that. And then the proposed PCD as an extension of this existing outline development plan for the balance of the Jefferson County parcels. There is, of course, a required neighborhood meeting for the zoning processes, the concept and the specific ODP. That was actually held a little while back. It was actually in February 25th of 2000. They initiated the application process later in 2000, and we're before you in 2011. Typical kind of open house format for that venue. We had about 35 participants, and we included the sign-up sheet and the comments that we received from that meeting in your packet this evening for you to have that as a reference point. A little more background information just to give you context. We have a number of comprehensive planning documents that apply in this area. First and foremost, we have Envision Wheat Ridge, which is most recently adopted in October of 2009. That's the citywide comp plan. I'll have a graphic that I can show you of that. We also have a 3-mile plan, which is most pertinent as it pertains to the annexation request. We maintain a 3-mile plan as required by state statutes and review that annually, and then review it as we look at annexation requests for consistency. And then lastly, we also have an I-70 corridor urban renewal plan that was adopted by Renewal Wheat Ridge in 2009. Looking at those documents, the general area of the applications being considered tonight are in this area. You can see in the 3-mile plan that we have that open space designation that goes through the Greenbelt corridor, consistent with how this project intends to use that land. And then this orange or reddish-orange designation is for a regional commercial development, again, consistent with what is being presented before you this evening. This is a graphic for a portion of the what we call the structure plan map from Envision Wheat Ridge, the citywide comprehensive plan. And again, you can see the Greenbelt corridor, of course, designated as such through the site, regional commercial to the north of the creek and to the south of the creek, and then, of course, the Youngfield corridor is also on the other side of I-70, a major commercial corridor for the city. Lastly, in terms of planning documents, this is a graphic from that I-70 Kipling Corridor Urban Renewal Plan. It was an urban renewal plan that actually covered a much broader area. It covered the whole I-70 corridor as it goes through the city, as well as the Kipling corridor north and south from I-70 all the way south down to 26th. But specific to this area, you can see, again, fairly similar designation. The Youngfield I-70 corridor denoted as a regional commercial corridor, and then the Cabela's or Clear Creek Crossing area designated as a regional commercial and or employment. And I would note that employment uses are being proposed on the ODP, particularly on the north side of the creek, which is more less retail focused potentially. So with that as background, I'll go individually through, briefly through each of the applications. So item 2A on your agenda is annexation 11-01. And this, again, is the property that's owned by Jefferson County and CDOT. We've shown it to you graphically a couple different ways this evening. It's about 36 acres. It's being annexed as an enclave, so we did not have to go through the typical petition process. And what an enclave is, it means essentially it's surrounded by existing city limits on all sides, so eligible for a somewhat simplified annexation process. The county, during that process and through an IGA with the city, waived the requirement to do something such as the annexation impact report. But we certainly have met the proper notification requirements for the annexation, which includes the 4 consecutive postings in the transcript for our case. So I wanted to make that clear. This is just probably difficult to see at that scale, but this is the annexation map. And again, I'll just highlight it, but this is the perimeter of the annexation, with the bulk of the property being owned by Jefferson County currently, but this little strip of CDOT right-of-way at the far north, which contains right-of-way for State Highway 58 and I-70. With that, I'll go on to case 2B, which is the Clear Creek Crossing Concept Outline Development Plan, the umbrella document for this redevelopment. It does contain property of about 210, 211 acres, so a fairly significant development site. In this graphic, which is the first page from the concept ODP documents, there are 3 sheets to this document. North is actually to the left of the page, with I-70 running along the top of the graphic there. This really is more of just an orientation page, obviously signature blocks. The second page of the ODP really is a lot of the guts of what a concept outline development plan is. Lots of information in terms of permitted uses, in terms of development standards, in terms of development densities, and then some character statements in terms of the type of the character of development that is being established for this. There's also some specific requirements in regards to landscaping, signage, so kind of the full development package. The third sheet of the outline development plan is really a very generalized site plan. First and foremost, this shows lots that then tie back to that table on the previous page in terms of what are permitted uses and at what densities. Second, very important that this document establishes really the circulation system. Not only the roads that will be developed as part of this project, in this case access to the interstate system, as well as access to individual development parcels or areas within the development. Really establishes, based on the results of a traffic study, where the appropriate locations for access are. We're real excited to have something unique that's included as part of this package that hasn't been included in some previous concept ODPs, and it's really kind of the umbrella design document for the development and really sets the tone for what a master plan project like Clear Creek Crossing can look like. So I won't spend time on this. To really spend a lot of time, you obviously had a copy in your packet, but would take much more time than we have this evening. But contains a lot of really excellent design requirements related to everything from architecture to landscaping to signage and lighting. And really the intent being that those elements, without being too prescriptive, really start to set a consistent design theme for the project, whether it be signage graphics or lighting standards or consistent landscape theme, real important elements. So we're pleased to have this document be kind of that document that we will over time look back to as we review specific ODPs on individual lots. It's certainly been the design document that we've used to review the specific ODPs that are before you this evening as well. In terms of findings on the concept ODP, as I've noted, we certainly have found it to be consistent with our comprehensive planning documents and compatible with really the existing development to the south, to the east, and to the north, which is all commercial, and of course at the same time being very sensitive to the residential development that's further to the west. We found that there's going to be recreational, physical, and economic benefits to the city, and any public health or safety or transportation impacts from the development have been mitigated based on the transportation improvements that will be installed as part of the project improvements and will be completed prior to any buildings being occupied on the development. And then just to reiterate that the ODP and the design pattern book we really think sets out a good set of specific design standards and architectural requirements that will lead to what we believe will be a real high quality development. In terms of Planning Commission action, Planning Commission does make a recommendation on all zoning actions to City Council. They had a public hearing, well-attended public hearing on March 17th. Had a lot of discussion and interaction and asked a lot of good questions and a lot of good public testimony as well. Planning Commission did end up recommending approval with 11 conditions, and those are being incorporated into City Council's recommended motion. So the applicant before you this evening can speak to this better than I, but they have agreed to the conditions, but we've also agreed that we'll address them all in one fell swoop if and when City Council grants your approval. So staff is giving a recommendation of approval with the Planning Commission of the concept ODP. Moving on to the third of the three cases that I'll be describing for you is what we call the Clear Creek Crossing specific ODP. And I won't read once more for the record the lots that Councilman Stites already referenced, but it's not the entire development. It's about 56 acres that are being proposed for approval as a specific outline development plan. What that means, if that approval is granted by City Council, is that the applicant would be eligible to submit for administrative final development plan approval, where they'd submit more detail on architecture, much more detail on landscaping and lighting, signage, et cetera. So there is a more detailed review in store. We'd be reviewing those plans relative to both the ODP, the concept ODP that's before you tonight, but also the design standard handbook. I won't show all the sheets from this document. It's lengthier than the previous one as it contains more specific information, but this is sheet 1, page 1 from the specific ODP, and you can see that it's just getting you oriented in terms of graphically depicting which which lots are included for the specific approval. This is the site plan sheet that shows the Cabela's development. Just to orient you, again, north is to the left-hand side of this sheet. The Cabela's store is generally situated here, I-70 on this side, and then the Clear Creek in the back. Obviously, fairly significant amount of parking in the front, but also a series of out parcels out front adjacent to 40th Avenue, which will give the development more of a finished appearance in terms of buildings oriented out towards the streets that'll be out in front of the Cabela's building. One of the conditions from the Planning Commission, and we think it's an important one, was to really be sensitive in looking at this natural area adjacent to Clear Creek, both to make sure that it's an asset to the development and to the community in terms of a natural area, but also that it has a strong relationship to the development. And there is additional access that's being proposed from the development into the Clear Creek Greenbelt corridor, which we think is a great thing. So that's something that we will be working with the applicant more on as we review those final development plans. This is the architectural elevations for Cabela's. Again, this is probably one that's not real easy to see at this scale, but certainly materials that are consistent with and have been reviewed against the design handbook. A combination, obviously it's more of a mountain theme with the pitched roofs. Does have some wood siding elements, as well as a prominent stone base and also some synthetic stucco. Real nice entry feature and roof forms, and those roof forms are functional. That center pitched roof form has skylights in it that lets natural light into the retail showroom. This is a site plan, just to orient you. North is to the top in this slide. This would be the future Cabela Drive, the main road through the development. These are the new hook ramps, as we call them, off of I-70, which is one of the main access points into the development. So this will be a real prominent view of kind of the side of the Walmart elevation, which is right here. Their main front is on the north side of the building. The reason I bring that up, we have some section views that hopefully help you understand what that view corridor will look like. But it's certainly the intent with this large landscaped area to make that be a real asset to the development in terms of landscaping and monument signage that brand the development. But I'll show you a little more in terms of how the grade works there in a moment. Again, architectural elevations. This is the front elevation for the Walmart. We certainly feel like it's a significant enhancement from what you might call their typical, though I know they do have a lot of different formats that you might see across the nation or even across the state. But a significant use of both brick and stone, as well as synthetic stucco and some intricately colored concrete masonry units. So all quality, durable materials and ones that relate back to that palette of materials that's established in the design standards pattern book. So we're pleased with that. These are the section views that I was speaking to. The one on the top, section 2 is how it's noted. This would really be the Cabela Drive looking in profile from east on the right-hand side of this graphic to west. So you can see at the top where the off-ramps would come off, you've got a landscaped area at the top of that hill, but then the grade falls away quite significantly. The good thing about that is that it really doesn't allow you to see any of the service areas at the back and on the sides of Walmart. With the landscaping at the top adjacent to the street, and then just given the view corridor that you see depicted there, you really don't have visibility down to their service areas. Equally important on what would be, and let me go back to orient you, what would be this area adjacent to a future commercial development site, but also some existing residential. There's a landscape buffer here, but then this is the back service area for Walmart, which obviously we're sensitive to how that relates to the residential area. So how it does is you'll see there's a 20-plus, this is the service area. This is the residential and future commercial area further south. So you can see at the top of that that area there would be a 20-foot minimum landscape buffer, and then you drop down into the service area. So the landforms really work to the advantage here in that you really won't have visibility of that area from the residential that's to the south and west. Additionally, a question came up at the Planning Commission hearing as to the screening requirements. And the previous outline development plan that was approved for Cabela's had a requirement that there be either a screen wall or a fence between adjacent residential and the commercial development on these lots. And I just want to reiterate that that requirement is still in effect. It's still a note on the concept ODP and one that would be enforced as we review the details of their landscaping and fencing plans on the final development plans as part of that administrative review. So they're obviously accommodating it here and showing it, but I just wanted to reiterate to Council that that screening requirement remains in place and will be enforced. Next, moving on, the darker colored areas in this graphic are what are being approved and really focused on this area. So we've got West 40th Avenue underpass under I-70, and then coming into the development, it'll be constructed, and then the Cabela Drive running generally north-south. So this is a big part of the retail development area that could accommodate several, I think about several hundred thousand, really, about 200,000 square feet of development. They're proposing the potential for some mini anchors, some platforms that might be 10 to 20,000 square feet, as well as some smaller pads that might be restaurants in a kind of likely scenario. So these are being approved as a specific ODP. These are probably a little more conceptual in nature, to the extent that we do include architectural elevations in the packet for these to show typical elevations. But these future tenants are a little less known. So the design standards pattern book will really be critical, and is why we're so excited to have that document, to be able to have an administrative review process, but one where we're confident that we have the tools in place to get the product that the community and our elected officials expect. So that's the last kind of component of the specific ODP. One more section view that relates to, again, some of the screening issues, and I'll go back to that site plan and show you where this is. You'll notice that the rear of those mini anchors, as we're calling them, have some exposure to I-70. Which we're sensitive to. We know there's a need to screen that with landscaping, and that landscaping will either occur in the CDOT right away or it'll occur on private property. If they're able to successfully negotiate a long-term lease for them to do that in CDOT right away, that's allowed by the ODP. But if they're not, they'll have to meet that requirement on site with a 15-foot landscape buffer. But let me show you that graphic, because we have really our landforms working for us here as well. Of course, the building is required to have four-sided architecture, so the back sides of these buildings certainly won't be unattractive to look at. But that said, there's still the potential for some rear service needs for screening, which is why you can see there's that ability to provide that landscape screening of those rear areas, though I think by and large your view will be cast above that to the buildings themselves, and again the four-sided of the being required of those. In terms of our findings on the specific ODP, we do believe that it's consistent with the rezoning evaluation criteria that are listed in Chapter 26 of the Code. Again, an important part of this review is certainly related to the traffic infrastructure and ensuring that the infrastructure that's being required and will be built is sufficient to accommodate this slightly modified development scenario. We do also believe that all submittal requirements for the specific ODP have been met, and again, reviewing this specific ODP relative to the concept ODP, which is also on the agenda tonight, and of course the design standards pattern book, we believe they're very much consistent with those documents. Planning Commission reviewed this application as well at a more recent hearing on April 7th. Much like the previous approval, they took their time. I think they had a very thoughtful review, had a lot of good public testimony, and made a lot of good suggestions. So they did recommend approval with conditions. Like the concept ODP, the conditions of approval recommended by the Planning Commission are being forwarded to Council and requesting that you include those in your motion of approval as well. And with that, staff is giving a recommendation of approval for the specific ODP as well. I know you're not ready to make motions necessarily right now, but just wanted to reiterate that there are 3 separate motions on the table in terms of the land use entitlements. One motion regarding the 36-acre annexation and initial zoning. Again, there being 2 zoning designations, one being planned commercial and the second being agriculture 1. Second, the motion to approve the concept ODP, which again is for that 210 acres and would include adoption of that design standards pattern book. And then third, the motion to approve the specific ODP for approximately 56 acres, which includes the Cabela's, the Walmart, and the additional retail that we walked through just a moment ago. And with that, I will move on to the applicant's presentation.
Thank you. I would ask the applicants to please state your name and spell your last name for the record and your city or address. You've already been sworn in.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Armstrong, A-R-M-S-T-R-O-N-G, corporate architect for Cabela's, 1 Sydney Drive, Sydney, Nebraska. Could you speak up, please? Is that better? Much better. Again, Dennis Armstrong, corporate architect with Cabela's, 1 Sydney Drive, 1 Cabela Drive, Sydney, Nebraska. On behalf of Cabela's, Coors, and Jefferson County as applicants, we are here this evening to present to you the proposed zoning modifications to Clear Creek Crossing. We have been here several years ago and secured the original Cabela's outline development plan. And I believe Ken's done an excellent job of bringing you up to speed from the history standpoint of where this project has been. Thank you. So as far as the history of the project goes, we will not go in any more detail than Ken's given you. We did, of course, once we had the outline development plan, we went through an environmental assessment for this project area. And the findings of that environmental assessment are part and parcel of the Cabela's project as we look at it going forward. And it is because of all of those requirements associated with both the ODP and the environmental assessment that we are looking at the vision for Clear Creek Crossing as it exists in the proposal before you this evening. And primarily the difference, as you would see, is in the original ODP, our thought and our approach was to build a Cabela's, and additional and subsequent retail would occur over time. With Clear Creek Crossing and the level at which we see this project being a 210-acre project, we think it's important it's looked at more as a holistic project, A, and B, it has much more of a substantial presence at the day one opening, given the nature of requirements associated with the environmental assessment. So why are we here this evening? A portion of that is, as Ken has stated, to seek your approval of our concept outline development plan and a specific outline development plan for portions of the site. We also have with us this evening several other speakers that will bring you information about some of the important topics associated with this proposal. One of the first individuals to speak this evening will be Chris Foshing. lead traffic engineer with Felsberg, Holt, and Ullevig. Chris and I have been with this project since the beginning, and both of us have a complete understanding of the needs of the city, working with city staff, both Public Works and Planning Department, to make sure that we have addressed all of the issues and requirements to bring this proposal before you. We also have Noel Kupkovic of Kupkovic Architecture, who has been the lead architect working for Cabela's on putting together much of the design information related to this Clear Creek Crossing proposal. Noel is the author of the Design Pattern Book. We also have others on our team that are here to answer any specific questions you may have on any of their specific parcels that they have. We also have with us this evening Carolyn White with Brownstein Hyatt Farber, who is our land use attorney, and she can answer any questions you might have in that regard. So as we said, primarily our purpose of this evening is to bring to you the request for an approval of the 32 acres as planned commercial development and include it in the Clear Creek Crossing project. Also to secure a concept ODP and a specific ODP for the Clear Creek Crossing project. So we're excited to present to you. We'll keep our comments short and hopefully give you some good information. I'll now hand it over to Chris Foshing.
Good evening. And for the record, I'm Chris Foshing, F-A-S-C-H-I-N-G. I'm with the engineering firm of Felsberg, Holt, and Ullevig. Our office is located at 6300 South Syracuse Way in Centennial. As Dennis mentioned, there is a rich history here with respect to conducting traffic analyses in support of this development proposal that dates back some 6 years. In addition to the planning process for Wheat Ridge, there was a substantial amount of traffic analyses done in support of an interchange feasibility study for CDOT, a substantial amount done in support of an EA for CDOT and federal highways, and then also a lot done as part of an interstate access request process for federal highways. And so the results of these studies have culminated into a robust set of transportation improvements to help deal with existing deficiencies in the system as well as deal with the impacts that are being projected. We have recently conducted additional traffic work to reflect the latest site plan and are finding that that robust set of improvements that have previously been determined is still appropriate. There's a few adjustments and a few tweaks here and there, but it is essentially the same set of improvements that we should be carrying forward. And these are improvements that should be put in the ground up front. So what I'm going to do is spend just a little bit of time, walk you through this. I'll be quick. I'll try to get through this fairly quickly. Some of you have seen this before. But this is a graphic that's diagrammatically displaying what these transportation improvements are. The green lines there are depicting what's already been completed. These were improvements that were contemplated and recommended 4 or 5 years ago, but have since already come to fruition. They include things such as the ramp additions between Highway 58 and I-70 West. These ramps have taken traffic away from 32nd Avenue west of I-70, a benefit to the area. The 40th Avenue underpass of I-70 is another recommendation that has been completed. And while not in green, another improvement that has taken place is the widening of Youngfield Street north of 38th. When we started this process, that was a 2-lane road. It is now a 4-lane road. So those things have already been completed. What you see in yellow is yet to be done, and what you see in yellow is going to be done before the first CO is issued for this site plan. And I'll walk you through what those improvements are all about. And I'll start maybe up in the northwest corner. At that location, we will see a brand new grade-separated interchange with Highway 58. Cabela Drive will be the cross street that intersects with that interchange. It'll connect up to 44th, and then it'll extend down into the site, through the site, and then connect all the way down to 32nd Avenue. This is a multi-lane roadway along its entire length. 40th Avenue is another roadway in the area here that will connect directly to Cabela Drive and Youngfield and take advantage of the underpass that was constructed. In the area of I-70, 32nd, Youngfield, there is significant reconstruction that's coming. I'll talk about the ramps first, the westbound I-70 ramps, which today are signalized on 32nd Avenue, just west of Youngfield. Those ramps will be relocated, so they'll be gone. They won't be in that location. They'll be moved up onto Cabela Drive. Ken mentioned the hook ramps. That's going to be the new set of westbound ramps. We eliminate a traffic signal along 32nd Avenue by doing this, which helps the traffic flow on 32nd Avenue. We will no longer have 3 very closely spaced signals, which can be a little awkward at peak times. 32nd Avenue and Youngfield Street will both be widened. Very significant improvements. The intersection of Youngfield and 32nd, I feel, is really the most challenged today with respect to traffic functionality in the area. And establishing functionality at that intersection really sets the stage for establishing functionality in the area. This is a depiction of what that intersection looks like today with respect to lane geometry. 3 of the 4 approaches have 3 lanes coming into the intersection. The 4th approach coming from the east has 4 lanes. This is what we've got today. With the improvements, kind of diving into some of the details here, here's what it'll look like when it's completed. And again, this is an improvement that will be happening up front before any of the COs take place. Every single approach is going to be widened by either 1 lane or 2 lanes. With these improvements and with some signal timing adjustments to take advantage of the additional laneage, we're estimating that the capacity of this intersection is going to increase 40 to 50%, which more than offsets the traffic impact that the development would be putting through this intersection. I think it's also important to understand, with respect to this intersection, that all of the other improvements that I walked you through, the new interchange on the 58 and the underpass of I-70 and the hook ramps, they also come into play in terms of benefiting this intersection because they help spread out some of the traffic. We've got 4 ways in and out of this site, okay? 58 interchange, the underpass, the hook ramps, and then Cabela Drive coming up from 32nd. Because we have those 4 options and because we're adding so many lanes, I can stand here tonight and say this is going to work. If we didn't have those other options and we forced a lot of this traffic down to 32nd, I couldn't say that. Okay, so it's important that it's a combination of things that are coming together to make this work. So that's a brief overview of the traffic and roadway picture. I'll now have Noel Kupkovic come to the podium and talk architecture and design. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name, for the record, is Noel Kupkovic, C-U-P-K-O-V-I-C. Our firm is Kupkovic Architecture. We're located in Cleveland, Ohio, 1500 Hamilton Avenue, 44114. I'll be talking about the design standard pattern book, the concept ODP, and the specific ODP. Ken did a good job abbreviating a lot of the things that we've worked on over the last number of months. So I'll be brief, but make sure to cover things that weren't discussed. Due to the regional nature of this site and similar to your Wheat Ridge ASDM, we developed the design standard pattern book, which is part of the concept ODP. This book establishes minimum levels of design and regulatory guidelines for signage, landscaping, site amenities, site planning, and architecture. The signage portion, within the signage portion of the pattern book, we've developed a master sign plan which your ordinance allows, which details locations and designs of freestanding signs as well as wall-mounted signs. The types of signs we're proposing are landmark identifications, project identification signs, primary monuments, as well as out-parcel signs. Our goal with our landscaping portion of the manual was to create a natural setting which complements the qualities of the existing Clear Creek and adjacent foothills. Our general landscaping is a key unifying element with emphasis on Colorado prairie foothill plantings, and our parking area landscaping includes landscape buffering and requires landscaping islands and plantings in the parking fields. For site amenities, we created streetscape zones. The streetscape zones detail landscaping, their relationships to sidewalks, and key intersections. Pedestrian areas include details, requirements for benches, tree grates, tree guards, landscape planters, and receptacles. Our lighting incorporates pedestrian, parking area lighting, and decorative lighting as well. The site planning portion of the pattern book includes parking standards, sidewalk and traffic calming standards, outparcel design standards, and planning standards that relate specifically to the concept ODP document. And last but not least,
could you please silence your cell phones for the evening or turn them off, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
And last but not least, the architectural portion of the book was to develop standards that balance overall aesthetic continuity while allowing for building identity and flexibility for specific tenants. So we've created this kit of parts, which include various types of building elements, various types of building materials, including the dark tone brick, stucco finishes, siding, and cultured stone on primary facades of buildings, and building articulation. It's the architectural elements, materials, and transparency which create sort of the common denominator architecturally of the entire development, but it also allows each tenant to have their specific identity as well. We'll talk a little more about that in the specific ODP. The previously approved concept ODP, I've got a date here of June of 2006, was 10 parcels and 178.27 acres. You can see the boundary there. The current concept ODP was recommended for approval by Planning Commission, as Ken had stated, March 17th, 2011. We have 10 lots, but within those lots we also have sublots. It's now a 210.93 acre development. It includes the Jefferson County parcel, of which 26 acres will be conveyed to Longs Peak Metro. As far as the roadway realignment, 40th used to just come in and sort of go to the south. We realigned 40th to go further north on Cabela Drive. We created another public right-of-way called Clear Creek Drive as well. And there were also some minor changes to the geometry of the Cabela Drive as well. The concept ODP regulates things like FAR for densities, uses, building setbacks, and heights. As far as the specific ODP, this site plan indicates the portions of the specific ODP that were recommended for approval by Planning Commission on April 7th, 2011. It provides more specific information for each lot, and we must be compliant with the Concept ODP and Design Standards Pattern Book. The Cabela's lot is lot 1-1, shown here, 1.1. Walmart is lot 5.1, and the THF parcels are lots 2, 3, 5.2, and 5.3. This is an aerial view looking east. Looking to the east, you can see Interstate 70, Clear Creek, Lot 1.1, the proposed Cabela's development. Lot 5.1, the proposed Walmart development. Lots 2 and 3, 5.2 and 5.3, and Cabela Drive, as well as 40th and Clear Creek Drive. The Cabela's is 130,000 square feet on 15.35 acres and has a relationship to Clear Creek Drive as well as to the creek as it relates to connectivity for bicycle and ped traffic and pedestrian circulation. The south elevation is the primary elevation. And again, using the architectural elements, materials, and building articulation and transparency, you can see that we have created this primary elevation for Cabela's. The use of materials includes the cultured stone, stucco, wood siding, and transparency through the glazing, as well as building articulation with the primary entrance being an articulation requirement, as well as some other articulations which are occurring as pilasters made of the cultured stone which project out from the building. This is the perspective, sort of a close-up view of the Cabela's entrance. This is the next generation store, and at 130,000 square feet will be the largest next generation store constructed in the United States when it is complete for Cabela's. This is parcel 5-1, and I know Ken went through this, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but you can see orientation is to the north, Cabela Drive, the hook ramps. Our building area is 177,000 square feet approximately on 17.86 acres. Again, through the utilization of the architectural elements, material, building articulation, and transparency, we're able to create a handsome facade. This is the market entrance, which is one of the entry points into the building, sort of a closed perspective. We're able to create a handsome facade using this kit of parts architecturally, but allowing the tenant to have their own identity as well. This is the THF portion of the specific ODP, lots 2 and 3, 5.2 and 5.3. The building area is approximately 167,000 square feet on 22.46 acres. Again, their elevations are utilizing the architectural elements, materials, building articulation, and transparency, which the design pattern book requires. In this particular in these particular lots, there are mini anchor buildings which will hold one tenant, as well as shops and out-parcel buildings which will contain sometimes one tenant or multiple tenants. I want to conclude by talking a little bit about these subjects because we spent quite a bit of time studying them to ensure that the quality of the development met these criteria. We'll talk about grading, lighting, pedestrian and bike circulation, as well as sustainability. I just want to reiterate a little bit about what Ken had stated as it relates to grading. I want to explain how the building sort of fit the site. This is sort of the low portion of the site. So when you look at sections 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the east facade of the mini anchors, we know that Interstate 70 is approximately 17 feet above the finished floor for this building. So this building is down. As well as section 2, which is the Cabela Drive section, where the floor of the Walmart is 33 feet below Cabela Drive. And as it relates to these, the residences to the south and the 4 residences that abut our property, the minimum distance Walmart is 28 feet below those residences. So these sections, again, show those relationships. This is Section 1, Interstate 70. The mini anchor building, we have a 17-foot difference in elevation, and we're utilizing landscaping to screen service areas. Similarly, Section 2, Cabela Drive, in the Walmart building, we're utilizing landscaping as a buffer as well. And here, there's a retaining wall and a landscape buffer that are compliant with the ODP to show the relationship of the residences to the Walmart building. And that specifically relates to lighting, because we have a concern that we don't want to create a lot of glare. So we are proposing to use cutoff fixtures that prevent light spill, that reduce glare to adjacent properties. And I think this diagram best shows that. Here's the property line and approximation of where the light fixture will show light. The pedestrian and bike circulation was always a critical portion of the design. We took our design cues from Clear Creek Trail when we developed this. And we wanted to, we're in essence implementing the Wheat Ridge Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan that exists. So our objective was to create an ample and safe pedestrian and bicycle access. And our firm does a lot of projects like this, and connectivity to the surrounding neighborhood is significant. So what you see here, highlighted in yellow, is our multi-use path or trail. It extends from West 32nd and the Cabela Drive extension on the west side of Cabela Drive all the way to the creek, and actually makes connections to Clear Creek Trail at that location and this westerly location. The path also crosses, there's a dedicated signalized intersection, and this multi-purpose path crosses over the north side of 40th Avenue and the east side of our property and makes another connection to the existing Clear Creek Trail. The red are the dedicated pedestrian sidewalks that follow a similar path and create connectivity for this project. Sustainability is an interesting topic today. It's sort of more common in the industry than it used to be. In fact, we were discussing it earlier that since the 2006 concept ODP approval, sustainability has become more of an industry standard. So because we're coming back to you now, we're proposing some of these sustainable strategies, understanding that each developer has their own sustainable strategies. These are the Cabela's sustainable strategies. They're organized by the site, utilization of water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, and indoor environmental quality. We're doing things like using appropriate plant species, the utilization of light-colored roofing materials to reduce the heat island effect, and providing alternative transportation, as well as utilizing high-efficiency lighting and lighting controls, and natural daylighting. Walmart, similarly, has their own strategies. In fact, here's some of their corporate strategies here, ultimately to create zero waste. So it's a corporate goal of Walmart's to do that as well. Some of the things Walmart is doing is providing low water use plumbing fixtures, high efficiency irrigation systems, utilization of daylight harvesting, use of regional materials, and utilizing non-ozone depleting refrigerants and low VOC emitting paints. And similarly, THF is proposing the use of white reflective roofing, energy efficient HVAC units, low water drought tolerant landscaping, alternative transportation, and a use of regional materials. So you see that each developer has their sustainable strategies moving forward for this development. We do have a number of design professionals that are in the audience to answer any of your specific questions, but that concludes my portion of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Carolyn White, Land Use Council for Cabela's, last name W-H-I-T-E, like the color, 410 17th Street in Denver. I just have a few concluding remarks we'd like to make in order to tee this matter up for public comment and for your consideration and your questions. First of all, a very big thank you to yourselves, to your staff, to the public for your time and attention to this project. We know it's been a lengthy process, and we're as excited as we hope you are to see this project move through this next phase of approvals and onto the concluding phase of approval so that we can actually build a terrific project that this community can be proud of. With that, we'd like to state that we, for the record, concur with all of the staff recommendations, including the conditions recommended by the Planning Commission. We concur with and agree with the analysis in the staff report as it relates to the criteria for zoning. And just a refresher, we've listed here for you the 5 criteria. All of the matters before you are essentially zoning matters, and under your code, these are the criteria to be considered for zoning matters. The staff report contains an in-depth analysis of how and why the staff believes these criteria are met. We hope we've demonstrated to you tonight with the level of detail we've provided that these criteria are not only met but exceeded. For example, as we speak about infrastructure, we're talking about making improvements that not only meet the demand created by the project but address some regional pre-existing deficiencies in the area of drainage and traffic. So as you can see, this project not only meets but exceeds your criteria for rezoning, both in terms of the annexation property, the concept ODP, and the specific ODP. I'd also like to reiterate for the record on behalf of the applicant, because I know it's a matter of concern to many citizens who may be here tonight and those who may view these proceedings later, and that is that the applicant does concur with and agree with all of the statements that Mr. Johnstone made relative to the traffic improvements and the conclusions reached in the prior traffic analyses, including the IAR, the environmental assessment, and as Chris Foshing stated, all of those improvements that he discussed are either already constructed or proposed to be constructed as part of this project prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy. And so in case there's any doubt in anyone's mind, our proposed changes that we're making to the ODP tonight do not change any of those commitments relative to the traffic infrastructure. What we're proposing for you tonight is to annex and zone the additional 36 acres that used to be the former Table Mountain Animal Shelter property, the Jefferson County property. We're proposing some minor amendments to the ODP that you previously approved in 2006, and we're proposing a specific ODP as to the 3 areas that were just described to you. So this is a project that you've already approved. We're making some small changes in one area, and we're providing additional details as it relates to the 3 parcels that are ready for development in the short term. So with that, we'll conclude our formal presentation. I'd like to request the opportunity to make our concluding remarks after the public comment, according to your rules, and then remind you that our entire team stands by to answer any questions you may have either now or later in the proceedings. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you. We're going to move on to public comment. There will not be a time limit tonight on individual speakers during public comment on these agenda items, but I do ask that you keep your comments germane to the subject and around 3 minutes. In an effort to move the meeting along, since decisions need to be made, you may state that you agree or disagree with the previous speaker. This is a City Council business meeting tonight, so please no cheering, booing, or clapping or the impugning of motives. I wanted to reiterate that what is not being considered tonight is any modification to the previously approved I-70 and 32nd Avenue interchange environmental assessment. In our packet this evening, we received minutes from all the previous meetings, including the public testimony given at the 2 recent Planning Commission meetings. So if you testified at those meetings, please be aware that the Council has those comments from your previous comments at the Planning Commission. In testifying this evening, I ask that you limit your testimony to around 3 minutes, and please state something new, if possible, reiterating things that have been in the Planning Commission minutes. The Council has read that. So what I'm going to ask you to do is please step forward, form a line on the wall, please come to the podium, please spell your last name for the record, and state your address and or your city. But the first person can come to the podium and please start speaking. Sure, please step forward and spell your last name for the record. You may have to move the mic a little bit depending on your height.
What? Be careful. My name is Holbrook, Holbrook. Hal Holbrook thinks he's a distant relative. First name is Gary, named after Gary Cooper. I have had the opportunity to meet with representatives of the planning board over here. When I say the planning board, the people who have designed the traffic flow for 32nd Avenue. I was here for 2 days, and I came away from that experience extremely disappointed. Two of the individuals who were very courteous, very nice, told me that they had not walked the site, had not really thought of the physical implications of the auxiliary roads reaching down to Cabela's off of 32nd. Now, I really had great difficulty understanding that. How many of the council members have been over and walked that area? How many of you have walked it?
Sir, we're not going to get into it.
Okay, but the question is this. When you present this type of thing to council, from the council to the community, you have to take into consideration the physical space as to those of us that are residents there. And I know that this simply has not happened. And I think that 32nd Avenue is critical for the acceptance of what you want to do as far as Cabela's and Walmart. And so with that, you have to be very serious about those of us who do not vote in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Delaete, D-E-L-A-E-T, and as both a Wheat Ridge citizen and a Wheat Ridge business owner, I'm delighted and excited about where we're at right now. I wrote down 3 points before I came here today on what I wanted to talk. I added a fourth one while I was listening to the presentations. The fourth one being that I'm excited. I think the Greenbelt, for too long, Wheat Ridge's Greenbelt has been the backwater, and I think that now we're with the Cabela's development, it gives us an opportunity to showcase our Greenbelt, and so that's just one more benefit. The other benefits that I see here, finally, at long last, we're going to fix 32nd and Youngfield and fix all of the traffic issues that have been such a problem for so long. I'm also, as a business owner, very excited about all of the new business that will be coming to town, and I just the opportunities here. When Cabela's came 6 years ago, they were talking about just the jobs that they would bring to the Cabela's area. Now we're looking at not only Cabela's but also Walmart and to the other areas. Very excited about that. And the fourth point is the jobs. To have all of those jobs coming to Wheat Ridge, I joked that with my oldest son, who's now 20, that he would his first job would be at Cabela's 6 years ago, and that didn't happen. But I've got 3 more kids coming up, and so we'll see what happens. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ted Hyde. The spelling of my last name is H-E-Y-D. I'm the planning and technical consultant for Live Well Wheat Ridge. And to echo that last sentiment, it is very exciting to be at this point in the process, given the positive nature that the Clear Creek Crossing will have on the city's revenue base. It's going to be a regional retail destination and create hundreds of local job opportunities, both in the short and the long term. The development also presents an opportunity to realize some of the vision and the goals set forth in the city's guiding policy document, which is the 2009 Comprehensive Plan. As said in the vision statement of the document, Wheat Ridge will be a prominent and sustainable city with a prosperous future built upon the foundation of the community's major assets. And in addition, Wheat Ridge will offer convenient transportation options, valuable services, and a high quality of life for all its residents. So with that in mind, my comments focus on the provision of multimodal transportation and transit facilities at the proposed development site. While the provision of the proposed multi-use trail along Cabela Drive and other proposed sidewalks throughout the site is very good, there are two things that we feel are missed opportunities. First is the lack of an on-street designated bike lanes on both sides of Cabela Drive. And at this point, what I know to be a lack of any RTD transit route through the site or RTD stops at any locations within the site. First, in relation to bike lanes, just considering the range of potential cyclist types that will be using the site. As documented in the bike and ped plan, there are a range of cyclist types with varying intentions and varying abilities, such as daily commuters that will be accessing jobs on the site and those passing through the site via Cabela Drive to get to their jobs on either side of the site. Also, recreational cyclists wishing to pass through the site en route to the Clear Creek Trail. I speak for many when I say the provision of on-street designated bike lanes would be much more appealing and accessible than contending with pedestrians and skateboarders, for example, on a multi-use path or a sidewalk. Similarly, I think if asked, most pedestrians and skateboarders would prefer using a path less traveled by cyclists. So in short, given the number of potential cyclists, pedestrians, and disabled that we hope will use this site in the future, the provision of one multi-use path for all those groups seems limited. Conversely, the provision of on-street striped designated bike lanes could greatly increase access and circulation options to and throughout the site. And secondly, in relation to a potential RTD stop within the site and route throughout the site, it potentially has tremendous benefits in terms of traffic operations, air quality, and noise levels. Let's just consider the hundreds, if not thousands, of users that will access this site on a daily basis. And providing said users with transit could have multiple benefits. So with that, I just respectfully ask that you consider, and perhaps the traffic consultant and or the applicant could respond to why at this point there are not designated on-street bike lanes along Cabela Drive, and what are the intentions in relation to an RTD route or bus stop within the site. Thank you very much, members of council and mayor.
Good evening. My name is Tara Jan, Jahn, and I live at 3620 High Court. I, as a resident, moved to Wheat Ridge in 2009, late 2009, and although I live in East Wheat Ridge, I very frequently visit West Wheat Ridge, whether I'm going to the mountains or as a user of the Clear Creek bike path, whether running or cycling. And I'm actually very excited about the prospect of something happening on this parcel of land. You know, it's big. It's a nice open space, but at the same time, it's also a big vacant space that could be very productive to our community. And as a resident, I find it hard to find adequate retail options, and so the prospect of having a new diversity of retail options on the west side of town, I think that's very appealing. The other two comments would be that the bottleneck at 32nd and Youngfield, I have been trapped at that before, getting off of I-70 to avoid further ski traffic. And so from what I understand, being at the Planning Commission meeting and this meeting, that bottleneck will be relieved by a lot of these traffic redevelopments. And so that I'm looking forward to. And just two concerns that I wanted to raise is just looking at the presentation. It looks like it was brought up that the facade of the building is very design-oriented and sustainably minded and that kind of thing. But I just worry that being a user of the Clear Creek Trail on the back side of that building, that it might be a very large cement block, or even if it's nice-looking cement, just like a very blank area to ride your bike by. And so I'm not sure if there could be some more landscaping on the backside, or maybe I just missed that part of the presentation. And also, it's amazing to see the plans for the potential retail developments. However, I've been to, I went to the outlets in Loveland, and I also saw a new development in Englewood, and there's a lot of empty retail spaces and, take up a lot of room. And so I just wanted to caution, I guess, and to bring that as an awareness of it. Before we build it, we want to make sure that we have committed retail like Cabela's and Walmart. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Greg Seabart, 4475 Brentwood. Very excited to see.
Could you please spell your last name for the record?
Seabart, S-E-E-B-A-R-T.
Thank you.
Very excited to see how these plans are coming along. I wanted to reinforce a little bit about what Ted said about having some on-street bike path on Cabela Drive and 40th. One of the advantages of developing a new site is try to get some traffic calming measures so you can get people there. They'll stay there longer, spend more money. Every city that's worked with traffic calming, and one of the ways of traffic calming is to put on-street bike, paths or bike routes. People will spend more time at the center, and the sales tax revenues have increased in every place that's done it. I was just at a meeting last week in Golden, which showed their South Golden Road, which they slowed their traffic down. All sales tax revenues from the businesses along that street have increased. So I really encourage you to think about trying to add bike routes, bike lanes on those two streets to try to calm some more traffic and make it a little bit slower. I encourage you to look at more pedestrian walkways so that people can walk between the different stores instead of getting in their car and driving. If it's not convenient to walk and traffic is going too fast, again, they're going to want to get in their cars. We're going to try to encourage you to walk from the different stores. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Byer. That's B-A-I-E-R, and I live at 13206 West 33rd Place in Golden. And I want to say that I had many more concerns before I came to this meeting, but I still have one, and that is the new intersection of what will be Cabela's Drive and 32nd is just a couple blocks east of the intersection of 32nd and Alkire, which is the access point to both Maple Grove School and Manning School. And I just hope that there are considerations to make that intersection at 32nd and Alkire safe for children and parents who are crossing 32nd to get to the school. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is Ken Kirkland, K-I-R-K-L-A-N-D. I represent the Applewood Property Owners Association. I'm on the board, and these people, some of these early people have sort of stole my stuff, So we are concerned about the bicycle paths also. If you might notice, on the south side of 32nd, several years ago, they built a pedestrian bicycle path, which bicycles are never seen on at the present time. So bicycles and pedestrians don't really mix very well. And we would not like to see a duplication of the situation that we have on the west side of 32nd on beyond this project, where we've had several accidents and one death. So that is important to our association. The second thing, I tried to inject a little humor and say that I hope you have a lot of parking places in this thing, because you have two lanes coming in from 58th and only one going out. So the people that are coming in those two lanes should need essentially the same facility to get out of the place. So we want to thank you or CDOT for postponing the 27th Street part of this program, and we hope that means that we'll get to consider it and maybe appear here again when before that takes place, because it involves taking out the current access ramps that are there now and putting in further down 27th to 27th the new ramps. So you've already agreed to postpone that, and we want to thank you for that. We are looking forward to this because we think it'll be an asset to our neighborhood, and we hope that your predictions for the 32nd Street and Youngfield intersection are accurate and come true, because that's the only way we have to get out of the place. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kevin Smith. I'm a resident of Wheat Ridge. My family and I have lived at 3230 Oak Street in Wheat Ridge, next to Karen Adams.
Could you spell your last name for the record, Mr. Smith?
Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Thank you.
Yes. And we've been here for 14 years now. I have one question about process. Well, has the design of the new bicycle and pedestrian path, including amenities, been finalized, or will further community input be received and hopefully listened to?
Mr. Smith, all questions will be addressed at the end of the public comment. Staff will come back up, or the applicant, they can address your question for you.
Very well. So somebody's writing these down, I hope.
Yes. They're
Thank
taking
you.
copious notes.
Let's see. Well, I wanted to challenge the city and request that the city allow further community input to determine design changes that the community believes may promote active and healthy shopping environment at Cabell or at Clear Creek Crossing. I would also challenge the and request that the city council initiate and consider changes to promote people walking to and from stores. I usually am dwarfed by a lot of automobiles, and sometimes I feel like I'm playing Frogger going through some of those high traffic area shopping centers. So it's very important to have traffic calming features employed to slow traffic and make pedestrians be more apparent, such as things done at City of Golden, Arvada, 16th Street Mall in downtown Denver, for example. Now, I would also request an explanation of why Cabela's was designated, or why they designated 25% of their site plan towards landscaping, but Walmart got away with only 18%. Further question I would have, I guess that can be addressed at the end of this, or responded to, would be the tax holiday that Walmart got of a vacation for the 2%. And I just hope we could get a brief discussion of what the city is getting back for that, especially hopefully a commitment by Walmart to put in a certain number of trees in light of our Arbor Day commencement at the meeting this morning or this afternoon. Arbor Day was indicated, so I hope that we can get them to commit to a certain number of trees to make it more better shopping experience in light of the Arbor Day proclamation. And can we nail Walmart down? And I believe Cabela's may be able, since we've heard from them tonight at the end of my questioning of how many trees they plan to put in, and and if we could get a general idea of the number agreed to put in by Cabela's and the city as well. I think it's very important that we incorporate living things into our shopping environments, and it'll just make for a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for keeping their comments succinct and informative. We've been below 3 minutes on pretty much everybody, so thank you for good comments and succinct comments.
Mayor DiTullio and members of the council, my name is Susan Motika. I live on 3651 Miller Court. I'm really pleased that this is a next step in our development with the 2009 Comprehensive Plan and the 2010 Bike Ped Master Plan. Wheat Ridge is unquestionably moving in the right direction, and our residents welcome Clear Creek Crossing as a destination location for Wheat Ridge. What I'm also excited about is the number of residents, citizens that have taken part in this debate and really tried to master what is complex terminology, difficult concepts, to really engage about building the built environment in Wheat Ridge and really increasing transportation, access to bike lanes, things that are going to make our residents healthier and really make this a destination. One thing I'm concerned about is how Wheat Ridge is at a critical crossroads, and do we move forward as a really vibrant city, or do we go backward? And many of us I know that have kids going to college are really making a commitment to stay in town, and this is the kind of development with the kind of resident involvement and questions and progress we're seeing that can move Wheat Ridge forward. I have just a couple super quick comments on the actual site. The potential RTD stop and that not being included in this plan, I think, is a serious omission. We have to look at employees of Clear Creek Crossing, including those at Walmart, people who may not have cars and really need an RTD site to get transportation. We also have to think about increasing fuel costs, reducing auto congestion, air quality, and reducing noise. And as someone who lives not far from 38th, I see that bus chugging along up towards Youngfield. Can't it just make another few feet? And if we need to work with you and work with the city on that kind of negotiation, it really seems like a logical thing to really tie the site up as a destination site, getting that RTD stop. I mean, as my husband pointed out on the way here, he goes, where's the bus going to stop? If there isn't a Walmart at Youngfield, you know, what's the bus doing on Youngfield? So I think that's really a critical concern. And I know a number of people testified on the bike lanes, and it's just obviously going to be so much less expensive to take this step now than to do it retroactively on the bike lanes. And I know you've heard excellent testimony about the importance of the bike lanes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Francine Mazzoni. I've never been tall in my life. I'm Italian, and I'll try and keep it under 3 minutes. My name is Francine Mazzoni, and I live at 13105 West 31st Avenue, Golden. I don't live in Wheat Ridge.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Mazzoni. My children both graduated from Wheat Ridge High School, and I have supported Wheat Ridge High School during their time there, worked on many committees, and I supported Wheat Ridge for many, many years, at least 20 years. This project deeply impacts me and my neighborhood. And I know I can't change some of it, and I'm really late coming to the table. But I want to talk about a couple things and and let you know that I strongly oppose this, primarily because of Walmart. I think the comment that was made by the second speaker, and I don't know how to pronounce your name, Brian, that Walmart brings jobs to the community is really an ill-informed statement. If you read about Walmart, you will find out in overwhelming research done by Boston University, by universities when people looked at bringing Walmart supercenters into Chicago and into New York. And they were successful in some of those. What happened to the economic base of that community is not pretty. Walmart sustainability and all of that, I mean, they can afford to say that. I would also encourage you to look at a recent lawsuit filed against Walmart, Averitt versus Walmart. Walmart lied about their culpability in the matter when this woman was injured, and they were fined $15 million. It's 7 seconds worth of business for them. Every time a Walmart store opens, it kills 3 local jobs for every 2 they create by reducing retail employment by an average of 2.7% in every county they enter. The overwhelming weight of the independent research shows that Walmart depresses area wages and labor benefits, contributing to the current decline of good middle-class jobs. It pushes out more retail jobs than it creates, and it results in more retail vacancies. I would ask that we remember to look at our neighbors in Arvada. They fought a Walmart supercenter and they won. There was good reason that they did that. I would ask that you also remember Highlands. Highlands fought a Walmart supercenter. Now, I may not know the answer to this, and you guys may have already answered this question in previous meetings. What will happen to the existing property where Walmart is now? I'd like to hear an answer for that later on, if you can do that. I would ask that you consider and support me and my neighbors, your neighbors, by not allowing the annexation of this, which would allow Walmart to come in. We have a Walmart. It's fine where it is. We don't need a supercenter. Thank you very much. I would also like to give members of council some documentation relative to what I've spoken about. I guess I can just give you each one.
We'll go to the city clerk.
Okay. And then anyone else that would be interested, I'd be happy to share it with you. And I'd encourage you all to go to walmartwatch.com. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Flora Andrus. I'm chairman of the board of Prospect Recreation and Park District. We are in the city of Wheat Ridge at 4198 Xenon, but our park district is to the east of Youngfield and Ward Road. We come to you as a neighbor. We come to
Just spell your last name for the record, Flora.
Andrus, Andrus.
Thank you.
And we come to you as both a neighbor as well as some part of your area is in our park district. So we are working together. We certainly do appreciate the efforts and longevity of efforts that has been conveyed both by staff, by the applicants, and by all the engineering firms that have been participant in this effort to bring it to this date. We look forward to cooperation in the future with you as well as a city, as well as our district. And our cooperation, we hope, will be a compatible situation for many years ahead. And we are just glad that it's at this point, and we hope that the future results will be those we dream. We thank you very much.
Thank you.
Edna Miklos, M-I-K-L-O-S, 2001 Youngfield Street, Golden, Colorado, 80401. Tonight I'm here representing the Applewood Business Association. The Applewood Business Association has been involved in this process since the very beginning. We are glad to finally see that it is coming to the end of the process where Cabela's can come to the area. We are glad also that with Cabela's they did help instigate getting the money for the traffic solutions that will be proceeding with this development. Also, we would like to hope Cabela's that Cabela's will keep this the gateway to the Rockies.
Please step forward and display your last name for the record.
Hi, I'm Marianne Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z, and I'm a member of the Applewood Valley Association, address P.O. Box 25, Golden 80402. While some of you are familiar with us, we would like all of you to hold an image of our community firmly in your minds while you make decisions tonight on the 2 agenda items regarding Cabela's and Clear Creek Crossing. We look forward to this development being done well. Applewood Valley Association represents nearly 2,000 single-family homes immediately south of Wheat Ridge. Along with 3 other homeowner associations, we are the low-density residential community of 7,000 homes surrounding the west end of the city of Wheat Ridge. As members of the Clear Creek Valley Neighborhood Council, we all invested tens of thousands of citizen hours to derive a compatible plan for this 200-acre development. We have a permanent commitment to the well-being of our neighborhoods. Our area was fully planned and occupied before I-70 was built, before Wheat Ridge became a city. Our families do not think of city boundaries when thinking of our Applewood homes. We see people, homes, schools, churches, parks, and some commercial centers. As we see it, I-70 is the big divider, the wall. And there is only one real connector, 32nd Avenue, through that I-70 wall. We live here and we know how this community functions. Safety and utility are paramount. We make decisions based on this reality. You are making decisions based on theory. We are not included in your list because we live outside your boundary. However, we do vote with our dollars. We have been a very major source of revenue generated in the west end of Wheat Ridge for your entire history. We had anticipated maintaining this tie, particularly with the attraction of Cabela's. The balance of our commercial choices would not likely change since we already patronize the existing selection. What we do see is an influx of drivers from greater distances. We are fiercely concerned that unnecessary amounts of development traffic will be forced onto 32nd Avenue and Youngfield because it cannot travel easily to and from freeways to the new development. We will further explain in the hearing of your next agenda item 2C the specific ODP. We see the 3-lane section of Cabela Drive north of the river to be severely deficient in this plan. We do appreciate the inclusion of off-site roadway commitments in the specific ODP, but request that the commitments also be stated in the conditions approving the concept ODP, Council Bill number 10-2011. Thank you for keeping us in mind.
If you have any comments on any other agenda items, you might want to say them now because we're doing all the public hearing under one time. Please step forward and state your name for the record. Thank you.
I'm Shirley Schneider,
Please spell your last name for the record.
Schneider. I'm a director on the board of Applewood Valley Association, Post Office Box 25, Golden, 80402. We're handing out a brochure. We'd like you to turn to the last page. We're the folks in the green, but we've been with several of these communities throughout this development process. Following and incorporating the comments provided by our director, Marianne Ortiz, on the previous bill, number 09-2011, I want to draw your attention to key demographics and some of your assumptions. You have already received copies of the 2006 Jefferson County meeting brochure. That's what I just handed out. This represents not only a major plateau in coordination about the development, but also maps our community and major roadways. I-70, State Highways 93 and 58, Colfax Avenue, 6th Avenue, Ward Road, Kipling, and Wadsworth. This is a key perspective. Most of our community lies well within the market areas of other Walmart supercenters, as well as Home Depot, Lowe's, Targets, many groceries, and retail establishments like those planned at Clear Creek Crossing. Those competitors are south and southeast of the development. We know that the predominant local customers to be served live to the north and west of the development in Arvada, Jefferson County, and Golden, in addition to some Wheat Ridge residents. Other customers, suppliers, and employees would be expected to approach this regional commercial center by traveling on freeways. Why then does the traffic analysis continue to show the majority of trips connecting to 32nd and Youngfield? The answer lies in this: if you build it, they will come. The assumption that started in 2004 with Cabela's being the unique and only anchor were never adequately readdressed. When the traffic attractions changed, so did the sources of drivers. This development still has a 5-lane south entrance on 32nd Avenue and a 3-lane entrance on State Highway 58. Drivers notice where the big roads are. The net result of that logic is that too many individuals will be trying to use the same space on 32nd and Youngfield. We acknowledge the level of existing and future non-development traffic. Problems will include irritated drivers, bicyclists, children on foot and on skateboards, and so forth, all trying to cram through that I-70 hole in the wall to disperse on either side. Hazards will increase. The overload at Youngfield will hasten the year when the existing eastbound I-70 ramps will have to be closed. We continue to be alarmed by the consequence. As stated on page 3 of the 2006 brochure, eastbound I-70 hook ramps. Preliminary information indicates that this 27th Avenue is the closest location that would meet CDOT's design criteria. However, Jefferson County is opposed to that location and believes further independent study and analysis must be conducted before any location is determined for the eastbound I-70 ramps. We request that Wheat Ridge and the developers join wholeheartedly in solving this problem. We do want a successful development here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Barbara Barry, president of the Applewood Valley Association, having become acquainted with you through the years.
Could you spell your last name for the record, please?
B-A-R-R-Y.
Thank you.
P.O. Box 25, Golden, 80402. I'm completing the primary comments representing our neighborhood's concerns with the development as a whole. Had more advanced coordination been possible, we might have been able to address other issues successfully as we have done in the past. As things stand right now, we must focus on the biggest problem. Too much traffic is being channeled to 32nd and Youngfield. It compromises function and safety of our community. We hope that some of what is projected in the April 13th traffic impact analysis may not materialize. Two elements underwrite this hope. The improved Ward Road interchange was not relieving the I-70 bypass traffic using Youngfield when the updated traffic counts were made. And the assumptions about origin and destination of trips had not been adjusted. These factors may offset some of the increased traffic resulting from the doubled development density. We note that some 2030 movements at Youngfield and 32nd will be failing at level of service E and F. Nevertheless, underbuilding and overbuilding roadway links and controls will steer some trips in the wrong direction. We have been perplexed for many years over the resistance to making a standard 4-lane arterial the whole length of Cabela Drive. At first, we thought this was a cost-saving measure. The bridge deck over Clear Creek could be narrower than the roadway cross-section to the south. Of course, when a brand new facility has size limitations, drivers learn compromised pathways and may not adjust if there is future widening. Those pathways are indicated in the new TIA section showing the 2012 traffic. But then, after we considered the cost-saving issue and set that aside, we looked again at information, early information about alternatives accessing this development, and we found a troubling question. Is the available width underneath the railroad structure too small to fit 4 travel lanes? Is this an 800-pound gorilla? Is it sitting here in this decision-making chamber? Do you, as decision makers, really understand the question? Do you know the answer? If the answers are yes, 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 are you deciding to slide past them and let the rest of us live with the consequences? If, on the other hand, you weren't aware of this fundamental limitation, would you now commit to solving it? Would you commit to finding a means to build an acceptable 4-lane arterial all the way to State Highway 58? We've worked together on problems like this in the past, and we've come to good solutions. So much depends on driver expectation. A normal 4-lane Cabela Drive would meet that expectation and relieve traffic on 32nd and Youngfield. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Kim Calomino, C-A-L-O-M-I-N-O, 4070 Dover Street. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Wheat Ridge 2020 Board of Directors. I would first like to commend you, Mayor DiTullio, you council members, staff, and Cabela's for your significant patience and persistence in pursuing the vision of bringing this project to fruition. The citizens, the city, and indeed the region stand to greatly benefit from this, the first major development in Wheat Ridge for many, many years, if not indeed in our entire history. Wheat Ridge 2020 provided our letter of support for Clear Creek Crossing to the Planning Commission, and tonight state our support to you, Council. Our support rests upon the many appropriate and beneficial aspects of the plan, including the opportunity for sales tax generation, the project's alignment with the city's comp plan and 3-mile plan addenda. The plan meets all aspects of the I-70 Kipling Corridor Urban Renewal Plan. The vast roadway infrastructure improvements will relieve existing traffic issues and future impacts in the surrounding areas, dispersing traffic and providing multiple points of access, and providing safe access to the Clear Creek Trail via connections separated from vehicle traffic. The project will greatly expand shopping opportunities for our citizens. The plan addresses the standards and character of all future development in the project, and critically, the development will create much needed local jobs. This project will put Wheat Ridge on the map, indicate that we are, in fact, open for business, And it will position Wheat Ridge to attract quality retailers, employers, and other development interests as we continue the full realization of creating Wheat Ridge as a great and sustainable place to live, work, learn, shop, and play. Wheat Ridge 2020 strongly supports and encourages Council to support approval of the proposals before you. Thank you.
I just want to make a comment. After Mr. Goki speaks, we will take a 10-minute break. So, Mr. Goki, please spell your last name for the record.
I need a break. Dean Goki, G-O-K-E-Y. I'm going to try to keep things in perspective to the agenda items. So I'm going to speak to the annexation first. The annexation shows that Cabela's has a commitment to the community, to the parks, recs, Jefferson County, the state of Colorado, to work within the framework of providing a quality project. I have been involved with this project since day one. When I was setting up in the conference room upstairs, they came in and asked us, would you be interested in having a Cabela's come to the community? I think that knowing the history of how Cabela's has left something on the table for this community in taxation, in lateral flexibility, is just unforeseen in today's development market. So I would urge that you pass the annexation based upon it would be sound for Wheat Ridge in the future to annex this property in. The other is the ODP. I think what we've seen here is a developer take the bull by the horns and say, here is what is going to really set our project off. And so they went through the expense of designing a architectural book. They went through the cost of over, what is it, 7 years of communication to the public to let them know, working with the public countless times, countless meetings to let the people know what is going on, whether whether you realize it or not. That's something that really isn't done in today's marketplace when it comes to development. That's just the cut above where we're at as a community. Sitting on this council for 8 years, I can attest to how the developers come in and they'll tell you the stories. These people are walking the walk and talking the talk. Okay, also, I'm not going to, when I was setting up on council, I lost my traffic engineering degree. So I'm not even going to speak to that. I'm going to leave that to the professionals here who are guided by CDOT and all of the other ones. I have no idea what the traffic situation will be. My crystal ball doesn't work since I got off of council. But I will tell you this, that the expense that the developer is incurring to develop this project is mind-boggling, just mind-boggling. And I think that we can look at this ODP and the rest of this project and say, yes, this is the type of thing we would like to have in any community, whether it's in an Applewood community, whether it's in a Wheat Ridge community, whether it's in a Lakewood community. This is a quality project, and we've been waiting a long time to see this take place in this community. And so that for a reason I would urge that council support this and pass it with the least amount of restrictions you can. I think there needs to be some flexibility here. I've heard about bike paths. There's a need for that. Whatever. What are you going to have? You're going to have parking spots, driveways, and bike paths. Oh, and by the way, we'll throw in a couple buildings so we can sell something. I think we need to look at that in that type of light as what has taken place there to bring all of this forward. But I think that they've showed degree of working with staff, the community, to the nth degree. So I'm very confident that they'll come up with a plan. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for your service to Wheat Ridge. My name is Gretchen. My last name is Cerveny, Cerveny, and I'm your former mayor, so I live in Wheat Ridge. So I was with Dean when they first came, Cabela's first came to us, and I just am excited that people have hung on as long as they have, and I've really been impressed with the communication and public meetings that Cabela's and the environmental assessment went through. The gentleman has left, but yes, I've walked it. I have walked, I walk 32nd a lot. There are a huge number of bicyclists, and why they continue going to Golden on 32nd, I have no idea. It seems to me if there were lanes like they are on 32nd, maybe they'd go back down to the Clear Creek Trail, and maybe no one would get hit again, but they seem to like it there. I would agree if there could be a bus stop somewhere close would be better. Colorado Springs has cut back. They don't have an RTD. They cut back on their transportation, and so some people who don't have a car and some who are disabled can't get to where they were working. So I think that is, and I don't think we want a whole exchange like is up on Applewood right now. But maybe if the one buses could come down. I believe that 32nd and Youngsfield would be much better. I go on 32nd and Youngsfield to go west up to the Taj. I have to turn left. Then people are coming off that ramp and everyone tries to get one more in, and it can be totally frozen. No one can move. So this way, when I have to go up to the Taj, I'll go west, then I'll turn on Cabela's Drive, and then I will get into I-70. So there won't be those left turns that are going up on I-70. I think it will be walkable, because that's been one of my, I've insisted on that. And where it needs to be walkable is really west of Youngsfield in Jefferson County. But the last I heard, the Jefferson County didn't want to have sidewalks there. And the next thing is if we could get the county, instead of having that sign on Alkire that said no turns when pedestrians are present, to change that sign and say turning vehicles must yield to pedestrians. That makes sense. And I haven't been able to get that done yet. So thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
Thank you. We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 9:20. The applicant who's going to answer about 4 questions or more that came up from the public. And she said she would take a few minutes, so please, this will be some of the answers to your questions from the public.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Very much appreciate your time and the opportunity to maybe try to answer some of the questions that were raised during public comment. Once again, Carolyn White, Land Use Council for Cabela's. I wrote down 4 specific questions that relate to the criteria that we'd like to see if we can answer for you. The first question had to do with the choice to provide a 10-foot wide multi-use pedestrian trail to address connectivity instead of on-street painted bike lanes. That question came up at Planning Commission, and it also came out throughout the design of this project. For a variety of reasons, there are a multiple number of different ways that connectivity could be addressed in this project. We decided, as in consultation with staff, to take our cue from the existing Clear Creek Trail and to try to match that amenity with the type of connectivity we would provide throughout the project, and as a result settled on the 10-foot wide bike lanes that you see in the development project before you. So that's the answer to the question to why that choice was made. There was also a question about RTD bus stops and what the RTD routes are going to be within this project. While the applicant has been consulting with RTD and having those conversations, RTD has not yet been ready to decide on and commit to a specific route or specific stops. Accordingly, the project has been designed to accommodate that, but we're not showing specific stops or specific routes because that simply hasn't been decided and agreed upon by RTD. But please be assured that connectivity as it relates to bus routes is definitely something that's considered to be part of this project, and the design is intended to incorporate that. The third issue I'd like to address is landscaping, and there were 2 questions related to that. One had to do with the area behind Cabela's as it connects to the green space in the existing Clear Creek Trail. The question was, or a comment was made about what kind of treatment that was going to receive. 2 things. One, that is part of the requirement for four-sided architecture, so that side of the building will have some of the amenities and the architectural elements that you saw in the presentation. There was also a recommendation added by Planning Commission to the specific ODP requiring that the landscape in that area be increased to make sure that we are properly taking advantage of that amenity and honoring that amenity, and that is a condition that Cabela's has agreed to comply with, and those revisions will be made following tonight's decision. The other question related to the overall percentage of landscaping and the number of trees. What this ODP does is set forth the minimum percentage that must be met on the whole entire site of 20%. That's the same as was in the prior ODP. The new condition that was added to this ODP is the additional requirement that each individual lot must meet a minimum standard of 15%. In the prior ODP, you could have 0% on one lot and 40% on another as long as it all averaged out to 20. Now we're setting a higher standard that each lot must meet at least 15% and the overall must meet at least 20%. That explains why some lots have maybe as little as 18%, but they still meet that minimum 15% threshold. In addition, as it relates to the specific number of trees, while that level of detail doesn't arise until you get to the FDP stage, I can mention that on the original ODP, we complied with the then Wheat Ridge requirement of 1 tree for every 50 linear feet. In this ODP, we're proposing a heightened standard of 1 tree for every 35 linear feet. So the exact number won't be determined until FDP, but this document, if you approve it, sets the standard for what the minimum number of trees is, particularly as it relates to lot frontage. So hopefully that addresses your questions with landscaping, but of course if you have further questions, we have our design professionals here to answer any detailed questions about that. The final point we'd like to make is to address this overarching question about the total volume of traffic and the ability of the proposed improvements to accommodate that traffic. And to do that, I'd like to ask Chris Foshing to come up, our traffic engineer, and make a few brief remarks about that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, Chris Foshing with Felsberg, Holt, and Olivig. I'll make just a few comments as it relates to 32nd Avenue. We heard a number of comments with respect to 32nd and Youngfield. And one of the questions had to do with the density increase and how can one increase the density of this development and still come back and say, well, gee, what you had before works. Well, 2 things really to be considering here. The density increase, over half of it is office use. It's not retail. And when you look at peak hour generation, office generates about half per 1,000 square feet than retail. So it's not a linear relationship in terms of the density increase. That's one point that I want to make. The other point is that back in 06, 07, when we went through our last round of traffic analysis on this project, we were calculating that this intersection of 32nd and Youngfield would operate at a level of service C, as in cat. Now, you may have heard traffic people talk about this measure A, B, C, D, E, F, and we typically try to get things at D, as in dog, or better. We were at C back in our previous study, and that was looking ahead to the year 2030. In essence, we had reserve. We had some reserve capacity built into that intersection. Now, with the new development plan and the new projections we've developed, given recent counts, we've fallen to a D. So we're using that reserve capacity to make things work. And that does mean some movements are a little worse than D, some movements are a little better than D. But we're averaging out at D. And in fact, some of the tweaks, I'd mentioned before that there's some tweaks and adjustments happening to the design. Some of those will be happening at that intersection through the extension of certain turn lanes. And then the last comment had to do with maybe all the alternative accesses into and out of the site. And will the other access points really be used? Or is the one down to 32nd Avenue really going to be the prime one? Because, gee, that's 5 lanes wide. That's got to be the one everyone's using. Let me explain why it's 5 lanes wide. Remember, the westbound ramps to and from I-70 are going to be moved. They're going to be moved up onto Cabela Drive. So for those coming from central Denver that want to exit the 32nd, they'll exit at those ramps and then make a left turn down Cabela Drive to 32nd. So in essence, that southern section of Cabela Drive is an extension of the ramps. So we've got interstate traffic that we're mixing in there. That's why we need the extra width there. So I think that pretty much addresses what I'd heard primarily.
Thank you. Okay.
Getting my water.
Oh, we're going to move on to council questions and comments. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Ms. Berry.
I have some questions about some of the official development plan standards and the allowable uses. One of them, it says outside storage, screened and accessory to primary use, and it's only allowed in a couple areas. Our current code allows some outside display and storage at the front of a building, like to within 10 feet of a building. And it seems to me, given these uses, that just restricting storage to screened areas, it would be great to allow some outside storage in front of the building like we currently do for retail uses.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the distinction perhaps is with outside display and outside storage, and my read of the intent of the ODP would be that on lots 1 and lot 5, which lot 1 being the Cabela's lot, and also it has some additional development land, and lot 5 being the Walmart land, that those business models have a need to actually have some outdoor storage in terms of some of their bulk merchandise. Still required to be screened, but they could have that as a use outside storage. But I don't think the ODP would preclude kind of standard outside display, just like we have in our standard zoning code for other sites within the development.
Okay, so you're going to consider some of that display, okay, rather than storage. Okay,
yes.
Great. There are, kind of a list of uses which are some retail uses and not, and then there's one allowable use that just says retail, period. And it isn't defined in the current code or isn't defined in the development plan. So I guess I'm trying to figure out what's the difference. The code talks about wholesale, and it defines wholesale, but I'm trying to struggle with what's the difference between that that one category that's retail and all the uses that we have listed, which
are also retail?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the intent is to be fairly all-encompassing, all-inclusive of retail, and that is how you do it, I suppose?
But then you go down and, sporting goods retail is only allowed in some lots, so...
Right, and I think that was really driven by the applicant in terms of wanting to limit that to certain lots.
Right, and I totally understand that part. It's just when you basically have something that's retail that is not defined, but then you try to limit it in a different category, it was very confusing.
Understand. I mean, do you think the broad nature of the retail catch-all is problematic? If there are certain retail uses that would be of concern, we could certainly carve those out.
Yeah, in that it is broad and it isn't defined, so it's really difficult for me to tell exactly what that means.
Right.
Under warehouse, it says warehouse allowed with a primary office service or retail use. And that sounds like it's like an accessory use to an office use?
Correct.
Okay, so would it be equivalent to, again, what we have like as office warehouse as defined in the current code?
In the current code, yes.
Okay, all right. The other questions that I have are mostly to do with the setbacks on lots 4 and 5, and maybe that would be probably best addressed to the applicant. And it starts out with basically, especially lot 4, the side setback is 20 feet adjacent to existing residential uses. And it isn't really clear to me in those lot lines what you're considering existing residential uses, if it's residential zoning, existing homes. When I look at it, I'm not quite sure exactly where those 20-foot setbacks would take place.
Mayor, Councilwoman, if I may, I'm just answering the question of what do we consider existing residential. There's really only one area where existing residential borders this property, and that's on the southern boundary, just south. Oh, I don't think I can get this cursor to show. Here we go. That is right here, and there are 4 existing homes that are in unincorporated Jefferson County. It's the southern boundary of Lot 4. Sorry, Lot 5.1. Lot 5.1. That's the only place where there currently is existing residential.
You're saying with Lot 5?
Lot 5.1 on the ODP. I'm sorry. It's just been pointed out to me that there is also some existing residential on the southern boundary of Lot 4 and sort of wrapping around to the western boundary of Lot 4 as well.
So the western and southern boundaries of Lots 4 and 5 are existing residential uses? Is what you consider residential?
Southern and western of Lot 4, southern of Lot 5, a portion of the southern of Lot 5. Okay. The western boundary of Lot 5 butts up against Lot 6, which is water storage.
It wasn't clear to me how, especially with Lot 4, that southern boundary of Lot 4 is basically, there was quite a bit of excavation there, so there's basically a big drop off right now. And in the plans you showed like a 30-foot, I think it was about a 30-foot retaining wall. And it wasn't clear to me how that is going to be kind of built in regards to the existing topography.
Actually, we haven't showed you a site plan for Lot 4. So the setbacks you're referring to are set forth in the concept ODP. The specific ODP covers lots 5, 2, 3, and 1.1. So we haven't proposed a specific ODP for Lot 4 yet, and that design issue will be addressed at that time.
That was great. All right, thank you. So through all those lots, even though the ODP says you can have a 0 lot line if you have fire-resistant building standards, where you're adjacent to residential, you're still going to keep that minimum of 20 feet.
That's right, but I want to just confirm with... Yeah. So on that southern boundary of Lot 4 and the southern boundary of Lot 5 and the western boundary of Lot 4, the ODP shows a 20-foot landscape buffer for those specific areas that's there regardless of the 0 lot line fire issue. So yes, on those specific areas we just talked about, there will be a 20-foot landscape buffer no matter what the setback otherwise would be.
All right, thank you very much. No, thank you.
I think what we might want to do, because some council members may have to leave, is take a motion for lease for item 5, which is to continue that part of the public hearing for May 9th. So I'd ask that Mr. Stites at least make the motion for item 5, which is to be continued on the Longs Peak Metropolitan District.
I move to continue hearing on Council Bill Number 15, 2011, Series 2011, an ordinance temporarily waiving 2 cents of the city sales tax within the boundaries of the Longs Peak Metropolitan District until May 9th, 2011 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers.
Is there a second? We have a motion for approval of item 5's motion to continue, seconded by Councilmember Sang. Discussion on the postponement. Please poll the council. Oh, Ms. Adams, sorry.
Yeah, I just want to know procedurally, if we didn't amend the agenda, that we just can do that procedurally. I guess we're okay.
Item 5 is on the agenda, and so you're able now to act
To
on
move
it.
it any
Now
place
you've done
at
that.
any time we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lead you down the path. Please poll the council.
It's highly.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on items 2A, B, or C from council? Councilmember Sang?
I just have a comment. I was one of the original council members, along with Ms. Adams and Ms. Berry, and then, of course, the mayor that was here whenever this all started. And, you know, my mother always told me anything worth having is worth waiting for. So I just want to commend everybody for hanging in there and coming forward with such a good project. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. J? You had your hand?
No, I wanted to ask a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask a question about what I think was called the THF properties, and what was listed was shops. And I wanted to know what was meant by shops, what type of shops. I assume these are retail.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Karen Blumenstein, Blumenstein. I'm a project developer with THF Realty, 600 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado. I appreciate the question. Shops is a designation that we use where you have a building that has attached demise spaces. So traditional retail space that you may see right now along portions of Youngfield Avenue, in parts of the Applewood Market right now where you went to let's see, the hamburger places over there and things like that. So traditional smaller retail space.
Oh, I know. One other question. I need further clarification on the bicycle lanes as opposed to the multi-use lane that's being proposed.
Ms. White, did you want to reiterate what you had mentioned earlier on about the bike paths?
Mayor, Council, once again, Carolyn White on behalf of Cabela's. As I mentioned, the issue of connectivity for this site is very important and something that's been considered since the beginning. The City of Wheat Ridge in 2009 or 2010 adopted a bicycle and pedestrian plan, which talks about the overall vision for connectivity in this area. And one of the suggestions it makes is that certain bicycle and pedestrian facilities be placed in this area to connect 32nd to the Clear Creek Trail and so on. And so we've basically followed that plan in designing the bicycle and pedestrian lanes for this project. Are there other ways to do it? Sure. There are a myriad of other ways. After a lot of consultation with your staff and looking at the plans and looking at the designs, it was determined that the optimal way to address that connectivity is as we've done it with the 10-foot wide multi-use pedestrian trail to keep that traffic separated from the vehicle traffic.
Mr. Reinhardt?
Yeah, I got just some clarity questions on the roadway. Maybe Tim can help me. The widening of 32nd Avenue from Youngfield to the west to Cabela's Drive, does that leaves enough space? I'm assuming there's a sidewalk improvement along the north side of the street there.
There isn't a lot of space because we're trying to get underneath the railroad, the interstate bridges, and so the widening all is occurring on the south side where a new sidewalk is being constructed behind the...
So there's no sidewalk on the north side, but there's on the south side?
Just on the south side.
Okay. The following question, I believe, is for Mr. Flashing. And that is the traffic study you did for the performance of that intersection, does it take into consideration the crossing times for the pedestrians it takes to get across that intersection, and how did you handle the pedestrian crossing, particularly in light of the fact that you got to go the long way around?
Yeah. The analysis that we use has maybe default values in there, but typically the software packages that we use with respect to trying to optimize timing takes into consideration pedestrian speeds and pedestrian considerations to get across all four legs and tries to phase and time the signal accordingly. So that is usually one of the, I'll call it a constraint, because sometimes pedestrians and cars are in conflict with respect to green time to be processed.
I'm not sure I totally like that answer.
Yes. There was a detailed yes that we've accounted.
I think the answer was yes. I think it did that. I think that's
maybe I misunderstood your question.
Well, I just well, it just seems at the moment it's extremely difficult to walk across that intersection. That's just a statement of fact. And when you judge the performance of that intersection using your software package, it should allow for an appropriate pedestrian cycle.
Pedestrian, yes. The analysis considers appropriate signal timing to get a pedestrian across the street.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that.
An unrelated question. What did you and perhaps this is, I believe this goes to you, but what were the limiting factors on sizing the roadway section on Cabela's Drive?
The limiting factors?
Yeah. What was it? Was the lane capacity, how we decided how many lanes needed to go in what portions of Cabela's Drive?
Yeah, and it does tend to vary a little bit depending on which section of Cabela Drive you're most interested in. So I've already talked about the southern piece, where south of the ramps, and why that's wide. It stays 5 lanes wide up to 40th Avenue. There's turn lanes at some of the right turn lanes at some of the access points. And then as we go north, it stays 5 lanes and then narrows down to 4 lanes. And it actually, there'll be 4 lanes of pavement all the way to the Highway 58 interchange. 2 lanes for inbound traffic coming off the interchange, extending into the site. 1 through lane going out. And then there'll be a center lane that will be available for left turn movements to and from adjacent properties when they develop, primarily on the west side of where the railroad spur and the road cross.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to correct an answer I just gave concerning the sidewalks.
Okay.
There is a sidewalk on the north side and a multi-use trail on the south side of 32nd Avenue as it goes underneath the Interstate 70 bridges.
I like that answer better than the first one.
Thank you, Tim. Do we have any other questions or comments? Ms. Adams?
This goes back, I think, to one of the questions Councilmember Jay asked. When we were hearing the presentation, the word outparcel, when you referred to outparcel, were those the shops, the other shops, as we're calling them, shops that are outparcels? And I'm talking about the architecture of those and what the process will be for, other than our architectural design manual, how that will be handled as they... I heard the words, we're going to leave them individually to have their own look, but in the same regard fit, and I need a little bit more on that. Can
Mayor,
you?
Council, once again, Carolyn White on behalf of Cabela's. So, for example, on Lot 1, Cabela's, we only proposed a specific ODP for Lot 1.1, which is the Cabela's store itself. There's room on Lot 1 for several additional out parcels, but we didn't yet propose specific ODP for those. When we do come back and propose a specific ODP to you, what you'll be guided by is whether or not it meets the standards set forth in the Design Standard Pattern Book, which is adopted as part of the underlying concept ODP. So that, as Mr. Kupkovic stated, really sets forth the menu of choices from which to choose, but all the parcels that we didn't show you a specific ODP for tonight, when they come in for their specific, have to comply with that Design Standard Pattern Book. So they have to choose from that palette. They have to choose and mix and match and meet the certain minimum amount of articulation, transparency, design palette, and architectural features, and comply with all the landscaping and site amenities that are set forth in the Design Standard Pattern Book.
I think that really helps clarify for the community because there are concerns, and I appreciate the layman's terms on that, and that really helps. Thank you. Consequently, Tim or Ken, does that go then to administrative? Once we approve this, then it's administratively, or does it have to come back to us?
Right. After, if you approve the specific outline development plan for what's been requested this evening, those components, which it's 5 lots, I believe, will be administrative final development plans. So the details of landscaping, lighting, architecture will be administratively reviewed. Again, still with the design pattern book in effect, to the extent that it's not conflicted with in the specific that you're approving this evening.
Right.
So.
And I think that's helpful to repeat for the community because there are concerns about, whether they would adhere to those or whether I would be able to make decisions on those. So, thank you. I'm sorry, Carolyn, I didn't hear when you said, I was writing notes and wasn't being a good listener for the RTD. RTD, I assume, can come back at any point and choose. They must do surveys as to where they need bus stops. So I'm sorry I didn't hear that well.
That's right. Those discussions are ongoing, and it's just not shown on this plan because no final decisions have been made yet.
Right. So that's not an issue. I saw on the plans, and I know we have rules and regulations on this, there were signage heights, and one of them was like 50 feet, and then the other was 8 feet. So can you just go through that quickly on the height of signage? We've had some issues before along I-70 and height restrictions and all that, and with the lay of the land and the different... there you go. Thank you.
The landmark ID is the tallest sign we have.
There you go.
Let me get my notes because I can't read this. The landmark ID, we're proposing 3 landmark identification signs. So that would be the tallest sign on the property. The maximum height is 50 feet, and a maximum area is 600 square feet with a minimum setback of 30 feet from the right-of-way. We felt that for a 200-acre plus development, we needed these 3 landmark IDs at 3 primary entrance points to the project as it relates to this being sort of a regional site. So those are your tallest signs. Everything else has a maximum height of 12 or 8 feet, so they're much smaller in scale. And we did spend some time with staff, I think, reviewing this with the master sign plan, which was part of the concept ODP approval and plan, your plan commission as well.
Again, thank you. I've had calls this week, and since it's quasi, I can't go over it. So if we can state it publicly, it is helpful. Thank you. The other question there was, and I can't remember exactly, 32nd and Alkire intersection and the 3 lights. There is currently a light at 32nd and Alkire. Is that correct? Yes.
Yes, there is.
Is that one of the lights that will be eliminated when you said will
That light will not be eliminated.
Okay.
In fact, there'll be some improvements to that intersection, and part of the 06-07 plan actually had some pedestrian enhancements along 32nd Avenue because of the schools. So there should be some improvements that take place out there.
And that was a question that one of the people that addressed the council had, and I know there are concerns in the community over there with safety with the students at the 2 schools, so I appreciate that.
Yes, previously we sat down with the principals of those schools and talked through those issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's been a few years now, but we went to visit them, yes.
Okay. Thank you. One other thing, I know this went through the Planning Commission, and I just want reassurance that the brick wall that is there will be extended between the neighborhood. Is that correct information? I heard that at the Planning Commission, that brick wall will not be extended, or that brick wall, or it just says 6 foot of some material. Help me with that.
I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman, are you talking about along 32nd?
No, I'm talking about to divide the neighbors. This was a neighborhood concern that's behind where the current brick wall is on the service road that separates the neighborhood from the development. Those neighbors had a concern about that particular brick wall.
I'd like to get a drawing up so I can be sure when I answer which wall you're talking about.
This extension that's coming up from it. There's an existing wall there today.
Along what is the frontage road, but what will be Cabela Drive.
That's right.
And the question is, will it be extended?
People called me with
I don't know the answer to that, Dennis.
Right now, the plan is that we would.
Yeah, okay. I'm informed by my client that the answer is yes, it will be, and that's part of the plan.
And I believe I did hear that at the Planning Commission. I just wanted to reiterate again, I've had calls on that also. Okay, I believe that is all the questions I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jay, do you have another question?
Yeah, I still can't seem to give up the bike thing. Having ridden a bike among people walking dogs and people in strollers and pedestrians and bikes do not mix really well, and places where they have, they're usually broader. The suggestion from Mr. Hyde was street bike lane markings. Is that very difficult to accomplish?
Mayor, Councilwoman, I'm not sure I would say it's difficult. I would say that, working in conjunction with staff, it's just not the preferred design for that roadway. And so, as a result, we've tried to address it a different way. I will also mention that if you look at the overall connectivity, and I just showed that on the screen, that there are a variety of alternative ways to make the connection. So, one could go up Cabela Drive to 40th and then go straight up a bike and ped only trail that doesn't parallel the street. One could go up Cabela Drive and get off on the Clear Creek Trail. One could continue on and get on the Clear Creek Trail at a different location. So there are a number of alternatives in order to distribute that pedestrian and bicycle traffic throughout the site.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Mayor, could I offer a comment concerning that? The 10-foot multi-use trail that's being proposed on this project is approximately the same width as the Clear Creek Trail, which accommodates both bicyclists, walkers, joggers, and occasional horse.
Thank you.
Mr. Demott?
I have more of a comment than a question. I don't have a question at all, actually. I've lived here my whole life, and I know some of you aren't even from the state, and some of you aren't from the direct area. But 32nd Avenue is traditionally been a roadway that's traveled by many, I would say, professional road bike racers. I mean, they go up to Lookout Mountain up 32nd. That's why it's such a busy street. Those people don't typically ride down the Greenbelt because, they're doing 25 miles an hour. And sometimes better if they're lucky. But generally they go from, I knew a group of people that they used to meet at the restaurant, and they'd ride up 32nd all the way up to the top of Lookout Mountain, all the way back every Wednesday night. And I thought they were crazy, but they loved it, and they did it for years and years and years. I know that they didn't. I always asked them, why didn't you take the Greenbelt? Well, if you pass one kid going 25 miles an hour, that's too many kids. So that's why they stayed off of there. I just bought my kid a bike because he was 5 on Wednesday. He got his first bike. And I live just down the creek. I mean, it's probably not even a mile. Oh, I plan to ride my bike with them? Yeah, I do. Down Clear Creek and up there. I can't wait. Would I get on 32nd with them? No way. That's a whole different bike rider. That's a whole different kind of bicycle rider that gets up there. I think the 10-foot, the correlation that you made between between the Greenbelt and this area as more of a casual shopping thing is absolutely right on the money. They may come through and everything, but those kind of bicyclists are not going to be doing Quiznos Classic speeds down Cabela's Drive just to browse. I mean, these are the more casual kind of riders. That's how I feel. That's just my input, my perception on it, and I just wanted to say I think you did a great job. I think it's a very thoughtful process that you went through, and I think it fits right in. I like it. Thanks.
Mr. Stites?
Yeah, I want to make a comment because I was with the original group with the two Karens and Wanda that were at that original meeting. So I've been wiggling in my chair for 6 years. And finally, this thing's coming to fruition on the deal. Now, as a history deal, I was born and raised here in Wheat Ridge. I swam up there in the rock pit. I rode my bike up there. We ran out there. We did quite a little bit up there. So I've walked it. I know the area. I live out there. We built a home out there in 1986. My wife is from Wheat Ridge here, so we know. Now, the reason 32nd is busy because there's very few streets that are going to get you to Golden. You don't have that many streets. So, yeah, 32nd's busy. Now, maybe once they get the trails in down below, they'll be able to bike up there. 45 years ago when they put I-70 in out there, they knew they blew it. But, we'll be back and fix that. Well, that was 45 years ago. And I can tell you that for a fact. My wife has been sworn at in that intersection, almost hit a couple of times. You come off there, so they're fixing the problem. And they're to everybody's advantage out there. Now, I kind of take offense when people tell me that the traffic hasn't been worked up out there and everything. It has. And I think it's far superior just now, today, and what it will be in future use. So I have no problem with it. I think it's been excellent. I think you've done an excellent job out there figuring all that in. And so that's what I wanted to say just because I can. Thanks.
Ms. Adams?
Thank you. I was looking through some other comments I've had from community members. Ken, would you reiterate the fact of the tree requirement, and that would it be fair to say that we have gone above and beyond our minimal requirements with the linear foot in both cases with the Walmart and with the Cabela project? Would you reiterate that for my friends that are concerned about the trees, please?
Yes, the concept ODP landscape requirements meet or exceed, depending on the categories, our current city requirements.
Right. Okay. That's all I have.
This time I'm going to close the public hearing. Ms. Berry?
Sorry, I didn't quite turn the entire sheet. I just have one question. A couple questions in the design pattern book. In the design pattern book, you talk a lot about sustainability, and a lot of the things that you're incorporating are great elements. And when you generally talk about like water quality, but there isn't much in there other than just the detention pond, I guess, or the reconstructed wetlands. You talk in it there. It talks about increasing water quality through some of the landscape islands. Are you talking about doing some low impact development things such as bioretention or other elements?
So for the record, my name is Angie Maluski. I'm a landscape architect with BHA Design. Last name is spelled Milewski. Our office is in Fort Collins, Colorado, and we have a reputation and a long history of working on several sustainable site projects within the Colorado region. And I think, yes, a lot of these issues will come through with the final development plans, but the idea is there aren't specific treatments that are allocated in the design pattern book. It's really to set forth a standard and goals for looking at those opportunities across the site to achieve sustainable measures with the site in terms of landscape, grading, and storm drainage. And probably the key area where we are on the overall site accomplishing that is within the regional water quality pond area and the wetland restoration area there along Clear Creek. We will be also looking at where we can, trying to surface drain many of the parking lots across landscaped areas, but we haven't specified a required list of LIDs. You can see in the design pattern book what is shown. It's really trying to achieve those goals for sustainability across the site and looking for those opportunities where they're available.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing for items 2A, B, and C, and a motion is ordered for 2A. And let the record show that we did vote on item 5 to continue that public hearing until May 9th.
For the future of Wheat Ridge and its citizens, it is my great pleasure to move to approve Council Bill number 08-2011, an ordinance approving the annexation and zoning of land located in sections 19 and 20, Township 3 South, Range 69, west of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Jefferson, State of Colorado, to the City of Wheat Ridge on second reading, and that it take effect upon recordation of the annexation plot.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Adams and Sang. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Item 2B.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the future of Wheat Ridge and its citizens, it is my great pleasure to move to approve Council Bill number 09-2011, an ordinance approving planned commercial development and zoning for property located at 4105 Youngfield Service Road, and approval of a PCD concept outline development plan on property located at 4000 Cabela Drive and 4105 Youngfield Service Road, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication for the following reasons. 1, the TMAC parcel located at 4150 Youngfield Service Road is under consideration for annexation, and zoning must be approved within 90 days. 2, extension of the PCD zoning and development to the north is a logical use for the property while protecting the open space area currently located in the Clear Creek corridor. 3, the request is consistent with both the 3-mile plan and Envision Wheat Ridge. 4, many of the infrastructure improvements are already constructed. 5, there will be economic and recreational benefits from the development. 6, the proposed uses are compatible with commercial uses in the vicinity. 7, all requirements for a concept ODB have been met. 8, Planning Commission recommends approval with the following conditions. 1, comments generated by the city's park, open space, forestry supervisor be incorporated in the design standard pattern book. 2, the streetscape amenities on or immediately adjacent to Cabela Drive, 40th Avenue, and Clear Creek Drive, including landscape and associated amenities, shall be installed prior to the first certificate of occupancy within the development. 3, on page 6-5 of the design standard pattern book, it be specified that the transparency requirements apply to buildings, not tenant spaces. 4, the following uses be added to the prohibited list: truck stops and self-service car washes. 5, additional language be added to the design standard pattern book that clarifies appropriate building locations for synthetic stucco and EIFS. 6, the following uses be added as special uses for Lot 7, camping or campground, and for Lots 5 and 7, caretaker residence. 7, the following use be removed from Lot 8, warehouse. 8, the plant list and the design standard pattern book be modified to meet the criteria of the City of Wheat Ridge Streetscape Design Manual. 9, eliminate the note regarding the requirement to turn off exterior signages 2 hours after the store is closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, second by Councilmember Adams. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 2C.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the future of Wheat Ridge and the citizens, it is my pleasure to move to approve Council Bill Number 10, 2011, an ordinance approving a PCD-specific outline development plan on property located at 4000 Cabela Drive and 4105 Youngfield Service Road, more particularly described as, here we go again, Block 1, Lots 1 and 3, Block 2, Lot 1, Block 3, Lot 1, Block 4, Lot 1, Block 5, Lots 3, 4, 5 of the Clear Creek Crossing subdivision on second reading, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication for the following reasons. 1, all requirements for a PCD specific outline development plan have been met. 2, the proposed specific ODP is consistent with the development regulations established in the Clear Creek
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I do have a letter handed to me.
I
from
thought you were showing me the...
Sorry.
Sorry.
So real quick, it was from a citizen who had to leave. I oppose the agenda item number 4, the non-conforming building, if this would include any building occupied or used by the city or used for storage. We cannot afford a $800,000 public works building in the next 5 years, and this was the very lowest priority from the DIRT Task Force. Signed, Dean Goki.
Okay, well, that was read into the record. We're going to close the public hearing and a motion's in order. Ms. Berry?
I just want to say, first I was concerned because although the intent of the ordinance was good, it was kind of convoluted, and sat down with Tim Peranto and Mr. Dahl and made it much simpler and shorter. And so I want to thank them for taking the time to make it a little more understandable. Thank you.
Okay, the public hearing has been closed. Go ahead and make a motion, please.
I move to approve Council Bill number 11-2011, an ordinance amending the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning nonconforming structures in the floodway district on second reading, and that it takes effect 15 days following final publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, second by Councilmember Stites. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next items on the agenda are ordinances on first reading. Council Bill 16-2011. Councilmember Jay.
Council Bill number 16-211, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 1 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws, authorizing the city to contract for collection of outstanding debts due to the city. There are outstanding fines, fees, and restitution due to the municipal court not successfully collected by the multiple methods currently authorized and or utilized by the municipal court. The utilization of a private collection agency would add an additional tool to assist with the collection of these outstanding fines, fees, and restitution. The authority for the state court to utilize a private collection agency to collect outstanding debt is found in State Statute CRS 16-11-101.63. Collection of fines and fees methods charges it states in part. To collect on past due orders of fines or fees, the state may employ any method available to collect state receivables, including assigning such accounts to private counsel or private collection agencies under Section 24-30202.4, 2 in parentheses, C period, R period, S period. Any fees or costs of the private counsel or collection agency shall also be added to the amount due, but such fees and costs shall not exceed 25% of the amount collected. The proposed City of Wheat Ridge Ordinance 2-8, collection of outstanding debt, would provide local authority to utilize a private collection agency to collect outstanding and unpaid fines, costs, charges, restitution, or other amounts owed to the city by any person.
Motion's in order.
Here we go. I move to approve Council Bill number 16-2011, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 1 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws, authorizing the city to contract for collection of outstanding debts due the city on first reading. Order it published, public hearing set for Monday, May 9th, 2011 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Is there a second? We have a motion for approval, second by Councilmember Adams. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is decisions, resolutions, and motions. Item 7 is Resolution 12-2011. Ms. Berry, would you mind reading that one since Councilmember Reinhardt had to leave?
For the construction of the Gold Line commuter rail corridor. Another governmental agreement is required between the Regional Transportation District and the city concerning the construction and local financial assistance of the Gold Line commuter rail system. The staff recommends that the RTD Gold Line IGA be approved.
Thank you. Motion's in order.
I move to approve resolution number 12, 2001, a resolution approving a contract with the Regional Transportation District for the construction of the Gold Line commuter corridor.
Is there a second? Second. We have a motion for approval, second by Councilmember Adams. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Item 8, Councilmember DeMott.
Yeah, I did. Close my page.
Thank you. I have a motion to appoint Diane Tipton to the Liquor Authority Board. There is currently a vacancy in District 4 on the Liquor Authority Board. Myself and Councilmember Langworthy requested that Diane Tipton be appointed to the Liquor Authority Board term ending March 2nd, 2012. Is motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to appoint Diane Tipton to the Liquor Authority Board, term to expire March 2nd, 2012.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of Diane Tipton, second by Councilmember Stites. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 6-0.
That concludes our agenda for tonight. Thanks for hanging in the pocket with us. Mr. Goff, City Manager's Matters.
Yeah, quickly, I just want to thank Ken Johnstone and Tim Prano and their staff for all the hard work they did on the Cabela's project. It's been a long time coming, and they did a great job.
Ditto. Sounds good. Mr. Dahl?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
City Clerk's Matters?
None this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce, for stepping in and getting some training on the job.
I appreciate the easy meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome to the easy meetings. Just had a couple of quick announcements. The Wheat Ridge Police Department is holding a child safety fair on April 30th, 2011 at the Wheat Ridge Middle School. The fair will be a 4-hour event. The primary focus of the event is free inspection, disposal, and replacement of child passenger seats. The event will also include public education in bicycle safety, crime prevention, code and pet issues, and child ID kits. Free bicycle helmets will be available for those in need. Wheat Ridge Cyclery will be conducting free bicycle inspections. A bike rodeo will further instruct children on the safe operation of their bicycles. So please attend on April 30th, 2011. The event will be open to the public from 11 a.m. and close at 3 p.m. The next announcement we had was the Drug Enforcement is sponsoring the Prescription Take Back Day on April 30, 2011. A drug disposal box provided by the DEA will set up at Exemplar Lutheran Medical Center and monitored by Wheat Ridge police officers from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the hospital campus. Citizens may anonymously dispose of solid medication with or without the original prescription container and any liquid medication still in its original bottle. And that is April 30th, 2011 at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the hospital campus. And then lastly, I want to congratulate the Wheat Ridge Housing Authority. They did purchase the Fruitdale building today, and now that's in the possession of the Wheat Ridge Housing Authority. So thanks to the school district, Wheat Ridge Housing Authority, and all who's worked on that to make it possible. So the next step is figure out what we're going to do. That is a pretty good idea. So thanks to all those folks who supported it. Councilmember Berry?
Yes, thank you. I've been working with the Wheat Ridge 2020 and the Planning Commission and with the Jefferson Conservation District, and we are trying to work on doing a new temporary community garden on some vacant spaces on 38th. And in May, the city will be hopefully passing some ordinance changes that would encourage urban agriculture and it would allow us to use some of our temporary vacant commercial spaces for temporary community or market gardens. And so we look forward to maybe getting one of those going this summer, and more information will be coming. If you need help in your veggie patch, or if you've got no dirt to dig, or you're on a long wait for the community garden, gardening sharing might be your answer. And we're trying to start some gardening sharing groups in Wheat Ridge. And so if you are interested in getting some dirt or lending your dirt out, please contact me, and we'll get you some information on some of that stuff that's getting going. There's a group of citizens who are working on sustainability issues in Wheat Ridge, and their name is Sustainable Wheat Ridge, and Councilmember Joyce and I have been helping and participating in that group, as well as Mr. Snow has come on occasion when he's not in class. And their first event they're going to try to do is a e-waste collection event, and we hope we can get that all together and going in this September. And so we look forward to continuing to work with that citizens group on getting some sustainability going in the city. So the Live Well Colorado and the Wheat Ridge Access to Fresh Fruits and Vegetables Task Force, which I've participated on for the last several years, and Council Member Langworthy sometimes participates. We'll have our task force meeting and tomorrow at Ye Old Firehouse at 3232 Depew Street from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And we've had some really interesting speakers and working on some basically some sustainability urban agriculture issues. So we're looking for some more folks to come, and hope you can come. On Saturday, I helped staff a Firewise Communities booth. Helped staff that with Smokey the Bear came by several times, and he was much more popular than I was handing out little brochures. But I don't think that most people realize that we do have wildfire hazards in Wheat Ridge, and they're along the green belt, and we've had quite a few fires already this year in Jefferson County. And so again, we've had a little bit of a reprieve with rain, but we've really had extremely low soil moisture levels this year in the plains. So I just caution everybody to be very careful with any activities into the greenbelt, because we, not only the folks in the mountains, but in Wheat Ridge, we do have wildfire issues. And one other Earth Week kind of event, there's a volunteer day at Bear Creek Lake from 8 till noon, and we're going to be doing some trail work and track, with my cold. My mouth is in tangles, but we're doing some trail work and some trash pickup, and you can register through the REI website, and it's a facility. I know that a lot of folks like to go down to Bear Creek Lake and fish and take their kids and teach them to fish, so it really is a regional facilities, and we hope we can get a lot of folks there to help clean the lake. Thank you very much.
Ms. Sang? Ms. Jay?
I have to say that it was pretty exciting to be a part of this really large decision that was made tonight, and really wasn't a difficult decision, but to be a part of the council that voted to approve the plans we were looking at with the Cabela. And the staff has done a wonderful job of pulling that together, years of work, and we have, 4 council people here that were in the initial beginning, as well as our mayor, and that's pretty exciting to be just sitting with them. So thank you all for that.
Thank you. Mr. Stites?
Oh, yeah. I do know that Steve Art, the Economic Development Director, and the rest of us have been getting a lot of inquiries into relocating to Wheat Ridge. And it really is a fantastic time to relocate to Wheat Ridge, either your business or your home, or both. So if you need any help with that, check with staff or any one of us, and we'd be glad to help you. Please do a positive thing for either your family, your community, your neighborhood. I noticed the other day at my house I'm getting a lot of weeds popping up, so start taking care of those and see if your neighbors need help too. And as always, please try to find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Mr. DeMott?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Ms. Adams?
Yes, I'll be brief because I know it's late. The mayor mentioned this day out, Children's Day Out and Safety. I think that I know that it's Saturday, April 30th, but I wanted to mention that not only did the Wheat Ridge Police Department, this is an incredible task in that when you see this many organizations get together to pull something off this great, the Wheat Ridge Police Department, the Wheat Ridge Fire Department, Wheat Ridge 2020, Wheat Ridge Cyclery, Wheat Ridge FOP Lodge 24, Colorado Department of Transportation, First Bank, Exempla Lutheran Medical Center, Hispanidad, and Service de la Reza. So it is really, really quite an incredible thing that our chief started the ball rolling and everyone else pulled together. And so I am excited for our community to have that day out. Also, along with what Mr. Stites said, as far as the, on April 29th, we're doing, Steve Art in our Economic Development Department got this together along, I think, with Heather. I think you probably did too, this 5 new locations to shop local in Wheat Ridge, and it's a day of ribbon cuttings that we have starting at 1:30 p.m. down at 5800 West 38th, and then we'll go along the entire area of 38th Avenue all the way to 7300 West 38th Avenue. We have 5 ribbon cuttings of businesses in Wheat Ridge, so I think that's pretty noteworthy. On a quick note, also tonight, it would be remiss if we did not thank Tim Paranto, Ken Johnstone, our attorney, Patrick Goff, all the people that have worked hard, our staff that has worked and pulled together. I hate to name people because I know I forget people. It's been an effort through all the council. Staff has been incredible in guiding us through this process of this development on the west side of I-70. I think our former mayor was instrumental, our former city manager who has now moved on, as well as our current city manager. I thank you all for all this work that we have done tonight. Thank you.